Chapter 822. 822 Chapter 822 Retreating without fighting. However, he now realized that Lu Ming's cultivation was unfathomable. His combat strength was even more terrifying. Even Wan Fengyun was crushed by Lu Ming. This made him extremely shocked. At this moment, Lu Ming's gaze turned to him. "Now, do you still want to fight?" A calm voice was heard. Everyone's eyes were focused on Wang Ju. "Do you still want to fight?" There was no need for him to answer this question. If Wan Fengyun was easily defeated, then if he were to fight, wouldn't he be even more defeated? Wang Ju's face turned green and then white. Finally, he gritted his teeth and turned around to leave. He turned into a rainbow light and left this place directly. He retreated without fighting. No one felt that Wang Ju's retreat was a sign of cowardice. In fact, many people agreed with Wang Ju's actions. When faced with an opponent that he could not defeat, perhaps retreating was the wisest choice. Lu Ming smiled faintly and returned to Xian Yanqing and the rest. In front of the stone platform, Long Chenli's eyes glowed as he looked at Lu Ming. He was shocked that he could not see through Lu Ming. He still remembered that half a year ago in the 100 Venerates Mountain, Lu Ming and the others had to rely on his reputation to leave the mountain. However, in just half a year, Lu Ming had already given Long Chenli an unfathomable feeling. Interesting. On the stone platform, Bloodsword 19 sneered. Then he looked around again and said, "Since there's no one else at the 4th level of the spiritual ocean tier to fight, then let's have a battle at the 5th level of the spiritual ocean tier. Blood Glow, you go." "Yes." A young man beside Bloodsword 19 nodded and stepped forward, appearing in the center of the stone platform. The aura on his body burst out. The peak of the 5th level of the spiritual ocean realm. 5th level of the spiritual ocean tier, who's going to come up and fight? Shui Meng's face was pale, but his eyes were as red as blood. The surroundings of the stone platform were completely silent. This time, the Sky Corps sect had obviously sent out top experts of all levels. Their combat strength was almost invincible among those of the same level. This bloody light was obviously such a figure. If one didn't have the confidence, going up would only be embarrassing. "I'll go." After a while, a voice was heard. A young man in a red robe flew up to the fighting ring. Everyone recognized that this person was a quasi-god prodigy of the Wang clan. He was extremely powerful. Boom. Blazing flames filled the air as the Wang clan's heaven's favorite roared and charged toward the blood-red light. Buzz. The sword hummed as the blood-colored sword chi surged. The blood-colored light emitted a dense blood chi as it fought with the Wang clan's heaven's favorite. The blood-intent realm of the Heavenly Corpse sect is extremely powerful. The Wang family is no match for it. Lu Ming shook his head. Sure enough, after a dozen moves, the Wang clan's paragon was no match for him and was suppressed. After a few more moves, he was forced to cough up blood from the blood-red light and lost. Who else wants to fight? The bloody glow continued to challenge him with a hint of disdain in its eyes. "Damn it, I'll fight you." A burly young man roared and rushed up the stone platform. However, this young man was even weaker than the Wang clan's Heaven's Pride expert. He was defeated in less than 10 moves. For a time, no one went up the stage to fight. It's a pity that Wan Fengyun was defeated. Originally, Wan Fengyun was an important battle power of the 5th level spiritual ocean tier, and might be the strongest 5th level spiritual ocean tier at the scene. He might have been able to fight the other party. Now that Wan Fengyun's arm has been severed, no one at the 5th level of the spiritual ocean tier can fight him. Soft discussions could be heard from the surroundings. "Chaotic wind and cloud is nothing. Let me teach him how to behave." When the fatty heard this, he was instantly displeased. He grinned, carried his battle axe, and stepped forward onto the stone platform. Lu Ming and the rest smiled. They were not worried about the fatty. In a battle of the same level, unless Fatty encountered a genius who had awakened a divine bloodline, he would not lose. "Brat, you're very arrogant. Let me serve you." The fat man held the axe in one hand and spun a few times in the air. The door-sized axe whistled with the wind as it looked at the blood-red light provocatively. It was as if he was a peerless master. This fatty, can he do it? Some people expressed their doubts. I should be able to, right? Back at the 100 Venerated Mountains, this fatty and Lu Ming fought against the Wan family and the Jiang family's experts. The combat strength they displayed was also extremely powerful. Someone replied. Some of them looked at Fatty with hope, hoping that he would win. "Fight." The blood-red light was very straightforward. The blood-red sword Chi soared into the sky and slashed at Fatty. Nest, I haven't even told you to start and you've already made a move. You're cheating. The fat man shouted. He turned the broad axe in his hand and blocked in front of him. Clang. The blood-red sword light stabbed the fat man's broad axe, making a sound of metal clashing. You dare to sneak attack me, take this. The fat man's battle axe shook, and the blood-red light felt a great force. His expression changed and his body could not help but retreat. The moment he retreated, he was greeted by Fatty's storm-like attacks. The battle axe was like a whirlwind, continuously slashing at the blood-red light. Every strike seemed to be able to split the sky. The blood-red light's expression changed drastically. It tried its best to block, but with every move it blocked it would take a step back. After 10 consecutive axe strikes, the blood-red light spat out a large mouthful of blood and was sent flying. He won. The fatty had won with a crushing force. Many people didn't even have time to react. Haha, you're really weak. The fat man laughed. All right. Fatty, you're amazing. Many people laughed out loud, revealing carefree expressions. He had finally won one battle. He had lost too many battles in the past 2 days. He had been caught off guard by the Heavenly Corpse sect and lost many battles in a row. Now he had finally won one battle. This fatty is standing together with Lu Ming. Of course he's not bad. Birds of a feather flock together. Those who are able to walk together are most likely geniuses of the same level. Indeed. The discussions around him made Fatty feel even more comfortable. Haha, Heavenly Corpse sect, do you have any stronger ones? Hurry up and send them out. I'll take care of them one by one. The battle axe in Fatty's hand swayed back and forth, causing a strong wind to blow. Umph. Bloodsword 19 snorted coldly. This time, Shuemang was the strongest among the 5th-level spiritual ocean tier geniuses that he had brought. He had originally thought that he would be able to obtain consecutive victories by catching the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace off guard and dampen their spirit. He didn't expect a fatty to appear out of nowhere with unbelievable battle prowess. Did you awaken a divine bloodline? The 19th Bloodsword asked coldly. If Fatty was a god-tier prodigy who had awakened a god-tier bloodline, there would be no glory even if he won. Nonsense. If I had awakened a divine bloodline, I wouldn't have needed so many moves to defeat him. One move would have been enough. The fat man pouted. Alright, you guys win this battle. The 19th Bloodsword then turned to Long Qianli and said, Long Qianli, why don't we have a battle between god-tier geniuses? As soon as he said that, everyone's hearts trembled and their eyes lit up. The main event was about to begin. It was finally time for the battle between the god-tier prodigies. Awakening a divine bloodline and not awakening a divine bloodline were two different concepts. Most of the Heaven's Pride experts only awakened a king-level bloodline, and many of them were only at the 9th level. It was too difficult to awaken a divine bloodline. Chapter 823. 823 Chapter 823 Battle between God-tier geniuses. The last time the list of top 1,000 talents was made, only the top 300 had awakened the divine bloodline. 300 people, including the Talisman Amulet Sect, Heavenly Corpse Sect, and Emperor Sky Divine Palace, were from hundreds of large domains. In such a large domain there were only 300 people. How rare was that? Even with the addition of some rising stars, it wouldn't be too much. Therefore, under normal circumstances, it was rare to see a battle between god-tier geniuses. It was only before the Battle of Providence, when all the supreme geniuses gathered, that there would be clashes between god-level supreme geniuses. As time passed and the Battle of Providence neared, the clashes between god-level supreme geniuses would definitely increase and become more intense. Haha, Bloodsword 19, are you finally going to fight? I'll play with you. Long Qianli laughed and stepped onto the stone platform. Long Qianli, you've misunderstood. This time I'm not the one fighting. It's my junior brother Jianghu. You can fight. Bloodsword 19 laughed. Buzz. As soon as Bloodsword 19's voice fell, a figure flashed and suddenly appeared in front of Long Qianli. So fast. Many people were shocked. They almost didn't see when Ghost Moon appeared in front of Long Qianli. It was as if he had been standing there the whole time. Your Ghost Moon? Long Qianli asked with a frown. Not bad. Jianghu was born indifferently. Looking at her appearance, she was very young, not more than 25 years old. Many people's eyes flickered because the name Guiyu was very unfamiliar. He wasn't on the list of top 1,000 talents at all. He should be a newly rising heaven's favorite. Make your move. Long Qianli did not let his guard down at all. A powerful aura emanated from his body as a black spear appeared in his hand. The spear radiance soared into the sky. Peak 6th level spiritual ocean tier. Just like Wang Haoxin, Long Qianli's cultivation had also reached the peak 6th level spiritual ocean realm. His eyes were bright as he stared at Ghost Moon. Since Ghost Moon dared to fight him, she must be a god-tier heaven's favorite. She must be very powerful, and he naturally didn't dare to underestimate her. However, Ghost Moon shook his head and said, "You're not my match." As soon as he said that, the scene was in an uproar. This guy is so arrogant. We haven't even fought yet and he's already saying that Long Qianli is no match for him. He's too narcissistic. That's right. Who is Long Qianli? He's a god-tier prodigy. How dare he talk so big? How detestable. Brother Long, teach him a good lesson. Some people from the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace roared in anger, feeling extremely indignant. Make your move. Wei Zhan, you're too full of yourself. Long Qianli's eyes were filled with anger. He had been looked down upon even before the battle. A genius like him was naturally unhappy. Swish. A scimitar appeared in Ghost Moon's hand. I've already said that you're not my match. If you add her, it'll be interesting. Then he pointed his scimitar at Wang Haoxin. Wang Haoxin, you're also a god-tier heaven's favorite. Come at me together with Long Qianli. I'm more interested in fighting you. Ghost Moon said indifferently. His tone was not loud, but it revealed a strong self-confidence. Wang Haoxin frowned and his eyes were sharp. Since he was challenged in public, there was no reason for him not to fight. She looked at Lu Ming. If she wanted to fight, she had to get Lu Ming's permission. If you want to fight, just go. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Many people's jaws almost dropped. Wang Haoxin had to get Lu Ming's permission to fight. Could it be that Wang Haoxin had been conquered by Lu Ming and had become his woman? Many people could not help but have this thought. They looked at Lu Ming with a look of jealousy and envy. In fact, many of them even looked at him with admiration. To be able to conquer a woman like Wang Haoxin, he had to be impressed. Xian Yinqing snorted and pouted. Lu Ming smiled bitterly and touched his nose, pretending that he did not see it. Wang Haoxin nodded. He took a step forward and appeared on the stone platform. Long Qianli, since he wants to challenge us, let's fight. Wang Haoxin said coldly. A terrifying heat emanated from his body, and purple flames erupted. Alright, since this person is so confident, he must have some capital. Be careful. Long Qianli sent a voice transmission to Wang Haoxin. His aura grew stronger and he pointed his spear at Ghost Moon. Make your move. Hee, interesting. Ghost Moon sneered and a black light burst out from his body. In the black light, there were countless figures screaming, giving off a horrifying aura. Kill? Guiyu shouted coldly. His body disappeared in a flash. The next moment, a cold light slashed at Long Qianli's throat. Without a doubt, Ghost Moon's cultivation was also at the peak 6th level spiritual ocean tier. Long Qianli's long spear shook and instantly struck forward, clashing with the saber light. With a clang, the saber light was repelled, but in the next moment, the saber light appeared at Wang Haoxin's throat. Wang Haoxin punched out with both fists, and the scorching fist radiance burned everything. Boom. The blade light was destroyed and a figure flashed and appeared in front of him. It was Ghost Moon. You have some skills. Next, let's get to the main topic. As soon as Ghost Moon's voice fell, endless black qi filled the air. Within the black qi, ghostly wails and wolf howls could be heard. The sound was miserable and extremely harsh. On the stone platform, many people's faces turned pale and they spat out a mouthful of blood. They were shocked and retreated quickly, shouting, "This is the will of evil ghost. Don't get too close." Many people quickly retreated and only dared to stop after they had retreated a long distance. Lu Ming waved his hand and a wall of vital essence appeared in front of him, blocking the spread of the will of evil ghosts. The evil ghost intent domain was extremely strange. It could affect one's soul and mind through the wailing of ghosts and howls of wallevers. It was a kind of intent domain similar to sound waves. Long Qianli and Wang Haoxin's expressions turned serious as they unleashed their wills to resist. Kill? At the same time, the two of them attacked at the same time. A violent attack was launched at Ghost Moon. Ghost Moon's saber art. "You're too weak, Jianghu said softly. Her body trembled and disappeared again. The next moment, countless saber lights suddenly flashed on the stone platform and continuously slashed at Long Qianli and Wang Haoxian. Each blade light was extremely powerful, fast, and at an extremely tricky angle. No one knew where they would come from. It was as if there could be blade lights coming from any corner of the stone platform. What a strange cultivation technique. Lu Ming's eyes glowed as he stared at the stone platform. Ghost Moon's attack naturally couldn't escape his eyes. He found that Ghost Moon's body seemed to have become one with the will of the evil ghost. Wherever the will of the evil ghost was, his body could reach it in an instant. It was fast and vicious, extremely strange. The only way to break this attack was to use a powerful method to break through the will of the evil ghost. Obviously, Long Qianli and Wang Haoxian had thought of it too. With a dragon's roar, a three-headed demon flood dragon with a dazzling golden chakra appeared above Long Qianli's head. At the same time, Wang Haoxian's divine bloodline also burst out. Chapter 824. 824 Chapter 824 Striking the Moon with a Palm. The next moment, Long Qianli and Wang Haoxian merged their bloodlines and turned into a three-headed demon dragon and a purple firebird. Roar. The three-headed demon flood dragon's three heads roared as its dragon claws tore forward. It was as if it could tear the world into two. The purple firebird also let out a cry and spat out a purple flame that burned everything. Boom. The space trembled and countless blade lights exploded. The evil ghost will was destroyed and Ghost Moon's body appeared, floating back. You've already used your trump card. Come on. While sneering, a moon appeared above Ghost Moon's head. However, this moon was extremely strange. It was black and ghostly shadows flickered on it. However, this was not the most shocking thing. The most shocking thing was that on the pitch-black moon, there were two golden chakras that were emitting a dazzling golden light. Two golden chakra, second-level divine level bloodline. Ghost Moon actually had a second-ranked divine bloodline. No wonder he was so arrogant. Buzz. Ghost Moon's figure flickered, and his body blended into the pitch-black moon. Buzz. The moon trembled and endless black lights spread out. Each of these black lights seemed to be a blade of light, and they spread toward Long Qianli and Wang Haoxian. A dragon's roar resounded. The three-headed demon flood dragon's three heads spewed out attacks of three attributes. There were flames, lightning and so on which spread forward. The purple firebird flapped its wings and flames spread out. It was as if the space was about to be burned through. Boom. Boom. In the sky there was a violent roar. The stone platform below was instantly reduced to ashes. In the previous battle, everyone had intentionally controlled their chi to prevent the stone platform from being broken. But now they could no longer control it. The surrounding people retreated again. Only Lu Ming, the Bloodsword 19 and a few others stood still. Suppress. A cold voice came from the dark moon. Everyone saw that the dark moon was shining with black light. Like a ghost moon falling, it pressed down on Long Qianli and Wang Haoxian. Boom. With a violent boom, the three-headed demon snake and the purple firebird were sent flying far away. Then they shrank rapidly and turned into the real bodies of Long Qianli and Wang Haoxian. The two of them staggered back, their faces pale, and they spat out a mouthful of blood. They had been defeated. The two of them had joined forces, but they had both been defeated by Ghost Moon. Kill? The black moon laughed coldly and didn't stop. It continued to press down on Wang Haoxian and Long Qianli, emitting terrifying waves. Long Qianli and Wang Haoxian had both been defeated, but Ghost Moon still continued to attack. Was she trying to kill them? Despicable, shameless, stop. They've all been defeated. Many people in the surroundings began to shout. However, the pitch-black moon did not seem to have any intention of stopping. It continued to attack. Long Qianli and Wang Haoxian shouted angrily and launched their attacks to resist. However, the two of them were already injured. Now that they had transformed into their true forms, their strength was slightly weaker. How could they block it? Instantly, the two of them were sent flying and two deep pits appeared on the ground. Their faces were pale and they coughed up another mouthful of blood. However, the black moon continued to press down. Despicable, you still want to fight? Angry roars could be heard from the surroundings. Bloodsword 19 sneered. And NBSP, the pitch-black moon exuded boundless might as it continued to press down. However, at this moment, a figure suddenly appeared under the pitch-black moon. He struck out with his palm towards the pitch-black moon. Boom. The space seemed to have been shattered, and the black moon trembled violently. Then it was sent flying into the sky by the terrifying power. This scene, in the eyes of the crowd, was like a person hitting the moon. A palm strike that sent the moon flying. Everyone's eyes were filled with shock as they looked at the figure. It's him? Lu Ming. A name appeared in everyone's mind. This figure was Lu Ming. Long Qianli and Wang Haoxin had been defeated, but Ghost Moon was still attacking. Therefore Lu Ming had to stop her. It's you? If you dare to stop me, I'll kill you as well. An angry roar came from the pitch-black moon. The black light was like a blade. However, Lu Ming stretched out his palm and all the blade gleams were shattered. Buzz. Lu Ming took a step forward and approached the moon. He struck out with his palm. Bang. The pitch-black moon was like a rubber ball. It was sent flying high into the sky by Lu Ming's palm. Buzz. Lu Ming took a few steps forward and his body was like a stream of light. He soared into the sky in an instant and appeared above the black moon. A terrifying devouring power erupted from his left hand and enveloped the dark moon, causing it to tremble violently. What's going on? My bloodline. A terrified scream came from the dark moon. Bang. The next moment, Lu Ming struck his palm heavily on the dark moon. The pitch-black moon instantly burst like a black balloon. Ghost Moon's figure appeared and rapidly fell to the ground. Ta. Lu Ming took a few steps forward, his figure falling like a meteor at high speed. The violent energy blasted Ghost Moon's body. Boom. Ghost Moon's body heavily hit the ground. The earth shook, rocks flew, and dust filled the air. How is it? Everyone's eyes were fixed on the smoke and dust. When the dust settled, everyone could see a huge pit that was a few hundred meters wide and a few dozen meters deep on the ground. Lu Ming stood straight in the middle of the pit, one of his feet stepping on Ghost Moon's face. Ghost Moon lay in the deep pit like a dead fish, blood spewing from her mouth and her body twitching non-stop. Ghost Moon had completely passed out. His body twitching was just an instinctive reaction. The scene fell silent all of a sudden. It was so quiet that only the sound of people gasping could be heard. Jianghu, who had been arrogant and defeated Long Qianli and Wang Haoxin, was now trampled under Lu Ming's feet like a dead fish. It was a terrible sight. It had only been less than a minute, but the impact it gave was too strong. Suppression. This was a complete suppression. The next moment, the crowd burst into loud cheers. Haha, good hit, good stomp. This is so cool. Isn't this Ghost Moon very arrogant? A new genius who wanted to step on the older geniuses to rise up is now a dead fish. How dare you be so arrogant in Nine Dragons? Don't you know how to spell the word death? Many people laughed out loud, expressing the comfortable thoughts in their hearts. Long Qianli looked at Lu Ming in shock. He had just fought with Ghost Moon and knew how terrifying she was. He and Wang Haoxin were crushed even when they joined forces, but Ghost Moon was easily defeated by Lu Ming. Lu Ming had defeated Ghost Moon easily in his normal state without even using his blood meridian. What was even more terrifying was that Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the 6th level of the spiritual ocean tier. He did not use his profound cultivation to suppress Ghost Moon, but he relied on pure combat power. Long Qianli smiled bitterly. It had only been half a year. Half a year ago he had not taken Lu Ming seriously. The reason why he had brought them out of the 100 venerated mountains was entirely because of Lu Ming and the group's loyalty, as well as Ruan Tingting's sake. That was why he had helped them. However, in just half a year he realized that Lu Ming had completely surpassed him. Chapter 825. 825 The Exchange Meeting. Lu Ming was very calm. There was nothing to be proud of. He was not afraid of anyone in a battle of the same level. Although Jianghu's bloodline was at the 2nd rank of the divine level, it was impossible for the bloodline martial technique he had comprehended to reach the upper-grade demigod level. Jianghu had only executed a low-grade demigod level martial arts technique. Even if the cultivation technique that she cultivated was also of the divine level, she was still crushed by Lu Ming in a battle of the same level. Lu Ming did not even use his dragon power or blood meridian fusion to defeat Ghost Moon easily. At that moment, Lu Ming's gaze was fixed on Blood Sword 19. Do you still want to continue fighting? Lu Ming's voice was transmitted to Blood Sword 19 as he stepped on the Ghost Moon. Instantly, Everyone's eyes turned to look at Blood Sword 19. Lu Ming's intention was clear. He was clearly challenging Blood Sword 19. In that case, would Blood Sword 19 dare to accept the challenge? Blood Sword 19's expression turned ugly. His cultivation was also at the 6th level of the spiritual ocean tier, which was the same as Long Chenli and Wang Haoxian. The bloodline he had awakened was also at the 1st level of the divine level, and his combat strength was about the same as Long Chenli and Wang Haoxian. Even Ghost Moon had been crushed. If he went up, wouldn't he be humiliating himself? Don't think that you're so great just because you defeated Jianghu. There are many divine-level prodigies at the 6th level of the spiritual ocean tier in our Heavenly Corpse sect who are stronger than Jianghu. It's just that they didn't come today. Do you dare to go to the gathering in half a month? The 19th Blood Sword said coldly. It seems like you don't dare to fight. If you don't dare to fight, then say you don't dare to fight. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Get lost. Lu Ming kicked Jianghu, who was like a dead fish, towards Blood Sword 19. A disciple of the Heavenly Corpse sect walked out and caught Jianghu's body. Let's go. Blood Sword 19 shouted, and then the group of people from the Heavenly Corpse sect fled with their tails between their legs. Many people looked at Lu Ming in awe. He had crushed Ghost Moon and forced Blood Sword 19 to retreat with a single sentence. What kind of power was this? This was especially true for Luan Fengyun and the other Luan family disciples. They were all extremely terrified. Luan Fengyun looked at Lu Ming in a daze. He still could not believe it. Half a year ago, Lu Ming was still suppressed by him and could only use the formation to resist. However, half a year later, Lu Ming could easily defeat those god-level prodigies, let alone him. A divine bloodline. He must have used the token to enter the blood pool and awaken a divine bloodline. Otherwise he can't be this strong. Luan Fengyun's mind whirred, and then he quietly retreated with the other Luan family youths. Brother Lu, thank you. Long Chenli stepped forward and looked at Lu Ming with a complicated expression. He cupped his fists and said, Brother Long, you're too polite. Lu Ming smiled. Brother Lu, you've really shocked me. In just half a year you've actually reached such a realm. I'm ashamed. Long Chenli sighed. Lu Ming's rapid progress showed that his potential was much greater than his. His future was unpredictable, just like those who ranked at the top of the list of top 1,000 talents, especially those in the top 20 or even the top 10. Those were all unpredictable monsters. I was just lucky. Lu Ming smiled faintly and brushed it off lightly. He did not continue to talk about this topic. Long Chenli didn't say much. He said, Brother Lu, in half a month, there will be an exchange under the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron in the first dragon's vein. At that time, besides the top 100 geniuses of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace and the Heavenly Corpse sect, most of the people will participate. The powerful descendants of the Sky Demon Valley will also participate. With Brother Lu's combat power, you will be a great help to our side. The top 100 on the list of top 1,000 talents, aren't you going to participate? And the Talisman Amulet sect, no one came? Lu Ming asked curiously. The Talisman Amulet sect has been very weak in the past few thousand years. Although it is still one of the 4 overlords of the Eastern Barren Territory, it can no longer be compared to the other 3. In the past few hundred years, it has been very low-key and will not send anyone to participate. It will only send its supreme talents to participate in the War of Providence. Long Chenli nodded and began to explain. And the top 100 on the list of top 1,000 talents are the key to the Battle of Providence. They won't be exposed easily and are all training and cultivating in secret places. They won't show up before the Battle of Providence. Oh. Lu Ming nodded. Brother Lu, I'll take my leave then. Long Chenli said. He then looked at Ruan Tingting and said, Tingting, are you going to be D. Tian's royal guard with me or are you going out to accompany your friend? Brother Long, you can go back first. I'll stay here with Shen, Lu Ming and the rest. Ruan Tingting said with a smile. And? Long Chenli nodded, then cupped his fists to Lu Ming and the rest before he left. Lu Ming, you're so powerful. You're much more powerful than you were half a year ago. Qiao Xian flew in front of Lu Ming, her big eyes sparkling as she looked at him, her face full of admiration and worship. Cough cough. Lu Ming coughed drily and rubbed his nose. He was a little embarrassed by Qiao Xian's stare. Humph, pervert, let's go. Xian Yinqing walked over and snorted. He held Lu Ming's arm and pulled him forward. Miss Xian Yinqing is jealous. Qiao Xian's voice came from behind. Of course. Shen, you're too mischievous. Why don't you check if Miss Nianqing is present? Ruan Tingting's soft voice came through. Tingting, come, I'll hold you. Fatty's voice rang out. Go to the side and cool off. Ruan Tingting's voice came out, followed by Qiao Xian's bell-like laughter and Fatty's sigh. Wang Haoxin looked at Lu Ming and the rest with a complicated expression, then followed them. The group of people headed toward the Sea Cloud sect. Following that, everyone would occasionally tour the mountains and rivers, and occasionally stop to cultivate. They were all young people, and after not seeing each other for half a year, they had many common topics to talk about. They got along very well, and even Xian Yanqing started to talk more. During this period of time, Lu Ming did not feel too tense. It was a rare moment of relaxation. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 days had passed. There were still 3 days left before the exchange between the supreme talents of the Empyrean Heavenly Divine Palace, the Heavenly Corpse Sect, and the Sky Demon Valley. Lu Ming, are you going to the exchange? Ruan Tingting asked. Of course I'm going. All the heavens' favorites from the 3 overlord forces are here. I can't miss such a rare event. Besides, I want to see the powerful descendants of the Sky Demon Valley, Lu Ming said. The Sky Demon Valley could be said to be the most ancient power in the East Baron. It had existed since ancient times, much longer than the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace and the Talisman Sect. The Sky Demon Valley was made up entirely of demon beasts. There were countless powerful demons in it, and there were countless descendants with the bloodline of divine beasts. They were extremely powerful. Some people said that the Heavenly Demon Valley was the strongest force in the East Baron, even stronger than the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. Moreover, in every generation, the Sky Demon Valley would give birth to many descendants with the bloodline of divine beasts. These descendants were undoubtedly the proud children of heaven among the demon beasts with extremely terrifying combat strength. That's great. Let's set off together. If we arrive early we can take a rest there. Ruan Tingting said. Tingting, can I go? Qiao Xian blinked her big eyes. Among all of them, Qiao Xian was much weaker and could not be considered a heaven's favorite. And the exchange meeting was attended by geniuses. Chapter 826. 826 The Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. Go, let's go together. Whoever doesn't let you in, I'll kick him away. Lu Ming laughed. Qiao Xian was overjoyed. Immediately, Qiao Xian spoke to her father, Qiao Long, and Qiao Long naturally agreed. For Qiao Xian to be able to attend such a gathering, it would definitely increase her knowledge and insight. It would be of great help to her future cultivation. Immediately, the group flew toward the center of 9 dragons. A journey of tens of millions of miles was not long for them. They chatted as they flew, neither fast nor slow. They arrived in less than a day. From tens of thousands of miles away, a majestic mountain range could be seen in the distance. It was one of the 3 dragon veins in the center of 9 dragons. After traveling tens of thousands of miles, countless buildings appeared in front of them. There were all kinds of palaces, pavilions, and even shops. There was everything one could think of. This seemed to be a city, but this city had no city walls. It was just countless buildings. People were coming and going in the building, and it was very lively. The group walked in and found that there were restaurants, inns, shops, and everything one could think of. In 9 dragons there were countless people and a vast territory. There were many specialized gathering places. In some places, city walls would be built, such as the Grand Gathering City. Some places didn't even need city walls, just like what they saw. The group strolled along the streets. Tingting, is the exchange on the Dragon Vein? Lu Ming asked. That's right, and it's at the Dragon's Head, under the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. Why don't we go and take a look first? Ruan Tingting said. All right. Lu Ming was also very curious. The group of them passed through the buildings and flew in the direction of the Dragon's Head. Not long after, they arrived at the Dragon's Head. At the Dragon's Head, there was an extremely wide flat land. In the middle of the flat land, there was a huge fighting stage with many seats around it. According to Ruan Tingting, this was the place where the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace had held their grand events in the past. For example, grand events such as a worship to the heavens or a competition between geniuses would be held here. As such, the gathering that would be held a few days later was also held here. However, this was not what attracted everyone's attention. Everyone's eyes were completely attracted by a large cauldron in front of the open space. At the forefront of the Dragon's Head, there was a huge cauldron. The cauldron was pitch black and as large as a mountain. It reached into the clouds and was at least several thousand meters tall. From a distance it looked extremely majestic. One could see true dragons spiraling around the cauldron, looking extremely lifelike. This is the divine nine-dragon cauldron. At the head of each of the 9 dragon veins, there is a divine nine-dragon cauldron. Legend has it that the divine nine-dragon cauldron was there when Nine Dragon City was built. No one knows how many years have passed since then. It is said that it is a supreme treasure used by ancient experts to suppress the 9 dragon veins. Wan Tingting said. Supreme treasure? Why didn't anyone take it? Lu Ming asked curiously. No one can take it away, not even the strong cultivators of the imperial path. The divine nine-dragon cauldron has been in this world for a long time, never moving. It seems to have merged with the dragon vein and has existed since ancient times. Wan Tingting said. Lu Ming was shocked. He looked at the divine nine-dragon cauldron in the distance in amazement. As for Fatty, Xian Yanqing, Qiao Xian and the others, although they had heard of it before, it was their first time seeing it. They were also shocked. There were 9 huge cauldrons with real dragons carved on them. They were several thousand meters tall and had existed since ancient times. It was indeed a magnificent sight. Lu Ming and the rest were not the only ones nearby. There were many other people who stopped in their tracks to watch. It seems that someone is approaching the divine nine-dragon cauldron, Xian Yanqing said. The others also saw that a burly young man was walking toward the divine nine-dragon cauldron. The divine nine-dragon cauldron exudes a huge pressure. Unless you're an expert, you can't approach it. Wang Haoxin, who had been silent all this while, finally spoke. Let's go up and take a look, Lu Ming said and strode forward. When they were within 10,000 meters of the divine nine-dragon cauldron, they felt a huge pressure emanating from the cauldron. At this moment, Lu Ming raised his eyebrows and there was a look of surprise in his eyes. Just as he was within 10,000 meters of the divine nine-dragon cauldron, he suddenly felt that the bloodline of the 9 dragons was somewhat strange. It seemed to be a little anxious but also a little excited. What's going on? Is it because of the divine nine-dragon cauldron that the bloodline of the 9 dragons is different? The divine nine-dragon cauldron is known as the 9 dragons. There are pictures of real dragons carved on it to suppress the dragon veins. Perhaps it really has something to do with dragons, which is why the bloodlines of the 9 dragons are abnormal. Lu Ming secretly guessed in his heart. They endured the pressure and continued forward. Very soon, Qiao Xian could not take it anymore and stopped in her tracks while Lu Ming and the rest continued forward. The closer he got, the more he felt the magnificence of the divine nine-dragon cauldron. It was tall and magnificent, full of vicissitudes, as if it had crossed time and space from ancient times. The 9-dragon bloodline in Lu Ming's body seemed to be even more anxious and excited. The power of the bloodline seemed to be boiling. Bang! Bang! In front of him was a burly young man who kept walking forward. His muscles were tight and his qi and blood were soaring. The qi and blood formed a dragon that was roaring. That's not a human, it's a demon, a flood dragon, Xian Yanqing said. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He could tell that the burly young man in front of him was not a human, but a flood dragon. He must be a genius from the Sky Demon Valley. Demonic Beast Level 6, able to transform. The demon youth walked forward step by step until he reached the bottom of the divine nine-dragon cauldron. He took a look at the divine nine-dragon cauldron and actually reached out his hands to hold a corner of the divine nine-dragon cauldron. Haha, that flood dragon is really whimsical. He actually wants to hold the divine nine-dragon cauldron. In his dreams, that's a treasure that even emperors can't touch. Someone sneered in the distance. Sure enough, the flood dragon roared at the sky, but the cauldron didn't move. In the end, the flood dragon even revealed its true form. It was a scarlet flood dragon over 200 meters long. It grabbed the cauldron with its claws, but the cauldron didn't move at all. In the end, the flood dragon had no choice but to return to his human form, and step by step, he retreated. At this moment, the 9-dragon bloodline in Lu Ming's body became even more violent, as if it was about to rush out of his body. Lu Ming had an idea. He controlled the 9-dragon bloodline. He could not let the 9-dragon bloodline appear here. Otherwise it would be troublesome if word got out. Lu Ming immediately retreated. Roar. At this moment, the 9-dragon bloodline seemed to let out a shocking roar. The roar came from Lu Ming's body, but no one else could hear it. But at this moment, a shocking scene happened. Thump. The divine nine-dragon cauldron in front of him suddenly shook. Suddenly the dragon veins trembled and the wind and clouds changed. A terrifying pressure burst out from the divine nine-dragon cauldron. Not good. Retreat. Lu Ming and the rest hurriedly retreated. After retreating 10,000 meters, the pressure was much less. After the divine nine-dragon cauldron shook for a while, it became still again, as if everything that had just happened was an illusion. However, the scene was already in an uproar. Everyone felt it. It couldn't be an illusion. The divine nine-dragon cauldron, which hadn't moved for ages, actually moved. What was going on? Chapter 827. 827 Chapter 827 Fighting the Flood Dragon. The divine nine-dragon cauldron, which even sovereign path experts couldn't move, actually moved. Why? Why did it suddenly move? Countless people speculated in shock. There were even many people who had already passed the news back to the elders and their families. Is it because of the nine-dragon bloodline? The divine nine-dragon cauldron moves because of the bloodline of the nine dragons? Lu Ming guessed in his heart. Let's go, we're leaving this place. Lu Ming said. He estimated that there would be a big shot coming soon to check on the situation. After all, the divine nine-dragon cauldron, which had remained motionless for ages, suddenly moved. It was too abnormal. Bang. Suddenly, a tall figure appeared behind Lu Ming and blocked his way. It was the monster flood dragon. Your Excellency, why are you blocking my way? Lu Ming frowned. The flood dragon exuded a powerful aura. It glared at Lu Ming with a look of surprise and greed. Your bloodline is very special. If you let me strip you of your bloodline, I can spare your life. The flood dragon said coldly in an overbearing manner. Its greed grew even stronger. It seemed to have sensed the abnormality of the nine-dragon bloodline in Lu Ming. Whoa, is there something wrong with this reptile's brain? Who does he think he is to want to take away someone's bloodline? The fatty was instantly enraged when he heard that. He glared at the flood dragon with an unfriendly gaze. Demon race insect, how dare you be so arrogant here? This is nine dragons. Ruan Tingting also said coldly. How dare you insult me? You're courting death. The flood dragon shouted coldly, a cold light in its eyes. Nest, this stinky bug is still so arrogant. I suggest that we behead him and roast him. The fatty shouted and even swallowed a mouthful of saliva. You're looking for death. The flood dragon roared and threw a punch at Fatty. I'm not afraid of you. Fatty rushed forward with his battle axe and swung it down. Clang. The flood dragon's fist hit the fatty's battle axe with a loud bang. The fatty's expression changed and his fat trembled violently. He retreated 7 or 8 steps and almost spat out a mouthful of blood. The flood dragon's level had reached the peak of the 6th level, equivalent to the peak of the 6th level spiritual ocean realm, while the fatty was only at the 5th level spiritual ocean realm. None of you will leave today. The flood dragon's eyes glowed with a cold light. This flood dragon's bloodline purity has already reached 20%. It's extremely powerful. Wang Haoxin appeared beside Lu Ming and said, a demon beast possessed the bloodline of a divine beast. Depending on the purity of the bloodline, their talent and strength would be different as well. Ordinary descendants were said to contain the bloodline of a divine beast, but the very thin ones might only have 1% or 1/10 of it. It was extremely rare to reach 1/10, which was 10% purity. Such descendants were extremely powerful and could even compete with god-level geniuses who had awakened a god-level bloodline. The flood dragon in front of him had the bloodline of a true dragon, and it had already reached 20%, which was even more terrifying. However, the flood dragon that Lu Ming had encountered on the Golden Sand Island in the chaotic astral ocean only contained 1/10 of the true dragon's bloodline at most. Bang. The flood dragon strode toward Lu Ming. On the side, Xian Yanqing and Wang Haoxin were about to make their moves. Let me do it. Lu Ming waved his hand and a cold glint flashed in his eyes. Boom. The flood dragon was very domineering as it threw a punch at Lu Ming. Since you don't want to hand it over, I'll take it myself. The flood dragon's lips curled into a sinister sneer. A murderous intent flashed across Lu Ming's eyes. Fatty, let's have flood dragon meat tonight. Then he took a step forward and struck out with his palm. The palm and the flood dragon's fist collided. Bang. There was a muffled boom in the air. The flood dragon's expression changed drastically, and its body trembled as it retreated. Thump. Lu Ming took a step forward and covered 100 meters in an instant. He caught up with the flood dragon and struck out with his palm again. Roar. The flood dragon roared and transformed into a 200-meter-long crimson flood dragon. It was covered in thick scales and its claws were as sharp as knives. It tore at Lu Ming. Lu Ming struck out with his palm again, clashing with the flood dragon's claw. The flood dragon roared and its huge body retreated madly. One of its finger bone was broken by Lu Ming. This worm dragon had 20% of the true dragon's bloodline, which was about the same level as Jianghu. Naturally, it was completely crushed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming strode forward and grabbed one of the flood dragon's claws. With a loud shout, he flung the huge flood dragon's body into the air and it crashed heavily onto the ground. Boom. The ground shook violently. However, the ground here had been suppressed by the divine nine-dragon cauldron all year round and was already indestructible. The huge flood dragon's body smashed down, but the ground only shook, not cracked at all. A series of crackling sounds rang out, and the flood dragon cried out in pain. It was unknown how many bones had been broken, and blood was flowing all over its body. Nearby, the others who were watching were dumbfounded. Lu Ming was too violent. Such a powerful worm dragon was like a useless worm in Lu Ming's hands. Ah, let me do it. Let's have flood dragon meat tonight. The fatty shouted as he raised his battle axe and hacked at the flood dragon. The flood dragon roared and struggled. The moment the fatty slashed down, its body continued to shrink. At the same time, its body was filled with a bloody light, like a blood-colored flame burning. However, he was still a step too slow. As blood splattered in all directions, one of his legs was cut off by the fatty. Buzz. In the next moment, the water dragon turned into a ray of blood light and disappeared. Lu Ming had wanted to give it to the fatty, but the moment he relaxed, the flood dragon ran away. He actually burned the divine beast bloodline in his body. Even if he doesn't die, his future will be cut off. Lu Ming muttered. The flood dragon had burned the divine beast bloodline in its body to increase its speed. Of course, this was also the reason why Lu Ming had let his guard down. Otherwise, the flood dragon would not have been able to escape even if it had burned its divine beast bloodline. Next, it actually ran away. Fortunately, it left a leg behind. The fat man cried out gloomily and ran towards a flood dragon's leg that was dozens of meters long. Haha, let's go back and roast some flood dragon meat. Fatty held onto the flood dragon's leg and carried it on his shoulder. He laughed so hard that he almost drooled. Nearby, the others were speechless. This group of people couldn't really be planning to roast the flood dragon's leg, right? Many people even swallowed their saliva. The flood dragon meat that contained the bloodline of a true dragon was a great supplement. Fatty, let's go back and roast some meat. But you should keep it first. Lu Ming said with a smile. Fatty put away the leg and the group left happily. They came to a small mountain peak hundreds of thousands of miles away and started a bonfire to roast the leg. Fatty was a bone-ash-grade glutton, and his roasting skills were top-notch. Furthermore, he always carried sauce, vinegar, oil, salt, and other condiments in his storage ring. Not long after, the dragon's leg turned golden yellow. Oil dripped down and a fragrant smell assailed the nose. The flood dragon meat was cut into pieces and everyone began to eat. Flood dragon meat contained the blood of a true dragon, so it was definitely a great tonic. The taste was also surprisingly good. Even Xian Yanqing, Ruan Tingting, and the other girls had a great appetite. Chapter 828. 828 Chapter 828 Defone. When the flood dragon meat entered his stomach, it turned into a warm energy that spread throughout his body. The wisps of true dragon blood in it circulated through his body, which was extremely beneficial to the body and could increase its strength. If it could be consumed in the long term, the benefits would be endless. Ha Lu Ming, how can there be no wine when there's meat? Here you go. The fatty waved his hand and jars of fine wine appeared. They flew towards Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing and the rest. Everyone opened the wine jars and began to drink in big gulps. Fatty, I didn't expect your skills to be so good. Ruan Tingting took a few sips of wine, but she didn't use her internal energy to force the wine out. Immediately, 2 red flowers floated on her beautiful little face, making her even more beautiful. Fatty was stunned and almost drooled. Tingting, how is it? Follow me from now on, and I guarantee you'll have a good life every day. Xian Yanqing, Xiao Xian and the rest looked down on Fatty. This reason was too shallow. Just as Lu Ming and the rest were gobbling down the food and wine, many important figures came to the dragon's head, below the divine nine-dragon cauldron. They received the news that the divine nine-dragon cauldron, which had remained motionless for ages, had moved. They immediately rushed over to check the situation. Unfortunately, no matter how they tried, there was no movement from the divine nine-dragon cauldron. They didn't know why the divine nine-dragon cauldron had moved. In the end, they could only leave it at that. More than 2 hours later, Lu Ming had his fill. As for the rest of the flood dragon meat, the fatty put it away in the name of storage. Just like that, they sat cross-legged on the small mountain peak and cultivated on their own, waiting for the exchange meeting 2 days later. Wang Haoxin wasn't cultivating and she was in a mess. In the past, she had been focused on cultivation and the only person she was close to was her brother. She had no other friends and was out of place with the other Wang family geniuses. However, in the past few days when she was with Lu Ming and the rest, she felt very relaxed and comfortable. She suddenly felt that she enjoyed such an atmosphere. Is this what friends are? Wang Haoxin muttered and shook his head. He told himself that he was only following Lu Ming because he had no other choice. If there was a chance, he would still avenge her brother. Although she tried her best to convince herself, her heart could not calm down, and she did not have the mood to cultivate. Naturally, the others did not know that Wang Haoxin was having wild thoughts. Time passed very quickly during cultivation. In the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed. On this day, the huge platform under the divine nine-dragon cauldron was bustling with people. Many handsome and beautiful young men and women with different auras flew into the sky and landed on the seats around the open space. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Fatty arrived at the place. They found an area and sat down. There are so many heaven's favorites. Most of the top 300 heaven's favorites have appeared. Wang Haoxin looked around and said softly. Among them, only Wang Haoxin was on the list of top 1,000 talents. Naturally, he knew more people than Lu Ming and the rest. Not long after, tens of thousands of people gathered around the open space. Of course, most of the young people were here to watch the show. It was impossible for them to participate in the exchange meeting. The exchange this time was destined to be a battle between the top figures. The Heavenly Corpse sect is here. Someone shouted. From the north, a group of more than 200 people, all dressed in black robes and wrapped their bodies, flew over. Of course, all the people here were young people and there were no elders. The most eye-catching person was the one flying in the front. He was tall and carried a coffin on his back. The coffin was pitch black. Even though it was broad daylight and there were so many people, everyone still felt that it was gloomy and very scary. He's Corpse Demon, ranked 102nd on the list of top 1,000 talents. He's refining corpses like a devil. Wang Haoxin's face was unusually serious. The others' faces also revealed a grave expression. The 102nd place on the list of top 1,000 talents was absolutely terrifying. Obviously, Shiremo was the leader of the Heavenly Corpse sect this time. More than 200 people from the Sky Corpse sect stood in the void, motionless. Bus. And NBSP whoosh. At this moment, a series of air-piercing sounds came from the east as young figures flew over. The number of people was also about 200. However, these young men all had different auras. Some revealed a fierce look, some were full of heroic spirit, some were extremely cold and some were extremely charming. The clothes they wore were also of strange shapes and colors. The demon clan of the Sky Demon Valley had arrived. The demons of the Sky Demon Valley also stood in the sky, exuding a powerful aura as they looked down. Their gazes swept across the entire place with faint disdain. The heavenly talents of the demon clan of the Sky Demon Valley had the bloodline of the divine beast. They thought they were superior and looked down on human warriors. It was only a rumor in the past, but it seemed that it was true. It's that flood dragon. The fat man clicked his tongue and whispered. Among the demons they saw a burly young man with a broken leg. He was the flood dragon that Fatty had cut off 2 days ago. The flood dragon's eyes were extremely gloomy as he swept his gaze across the entire scene. In the next moment he saw Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming and the rest were also in the east. As soon as the flood dragon saw Lu Ming and the rest, a cold killing intent appeared in its eyes. It whispered a few words into the ear of a young man in red armor next to it. Then, the red-armored young man looked at Lu Ming and the rest with a cold gaze. Buzz. Buzz. The flood dragon and the young man in red armor appeared above Lu Ming and the others in an instant. Their powerful and violent auras exploded and pressed down on Lu Ming and the others. What's going on? At the side, the others were shocked. Lu Ming and the group sat still. You guys were the ones who crippled Ao Chen's leg. The young man in red armor said coldly as he looked down at Lu Ming and the rest. Flood dragon meat. It tastes really good. The fat man licked his lips and sneered. You're looking for death. The red-armored young man shouted in anger. His aura became more violent, as if he was going to kill someone in the next moment. The other young demons looked on with cold smiles. Friends from the monster race, the exchange hasn't started yet. Please go back now. Right at this moment, a voice that was as clear as the wind drifted over from the distance. As the voice faded, a figure appeared in the air. It was a young man wearing a green robe. He had sword-like eyebrows and a handsome face. He had a gentle smile on his face, but there was an invisible majesty coming from his body. Di Feng, it's Di Feng. Many people cried out in alarm. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Di Feng, who was ranked 101st on the list of top 1,000 talents, was said to be a descendant of Martial Emperor Di. He had the talent of his ancestor and was extremely powerful. Di Feng. The red-armored youth's eyes were filled with fear. Di Feng looked at the red-armored youth and the flood dragon and smiled. You two, please return. If you want to fight, wait for the exchange to begin. There will naturally be a battle. Since Di Feng had spoken, the red-armored youth naturally had to give him face. He snorted coldly and looked at Lu Ming and the rest. You broke one of Ao Chen's legs, I will pay you back double. With that, he and Ao Chen flew back to the demon team. Chapter 829. 829. Lu Ming failed to be selected. Brother Shiremo, Brother Peng, how should we proceed with this exchange? Why don't you give us your opinion? Di Feng smiled as he looked at a golden-robed young man among the corpse demons and demons. In 9 Dragons, your Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace definitely has the advantage in terms of the number of geniuses. If all of you go up, we'll naturally be at a disadvantage. How about this? For each level, each of the 3 sides will send out 10 people and take turns to compete. When one side is completely eliminated, the side with the most people remaining will win. What do you think? The demonic corpse opened his mouth. His voice was extremely hoarse, like the sound of metal rubbing against each other. Good, this is exactly what I want. The golden-robed young man of the demon clan spoke. Clearly he was the leader of the geniuses of the demon clan. Alright, I have no objections either. However, let's forget about the lower 3 levels of the spiritual ocean tier. How about we start directly from the 4th level of the spiritual ocean tier? Di Feng said. Alright. The demonic corpse and the golden-robed young man of the demon clan both nodded in agreement. In that case, let's choose our own candidates. With that, Di Feng flew down from the stands and began to discuss the candidates with a few other human geniuses. This battle could be considered the most intense clash before the Battle of Providence. It could test the other side and also take the opportunity to suppress the other side's momentum. None of the 3 sides dared to be careless, and they would send their strongest candidates. After a while, a young man flew toward Lu Ming and the rest. After he arrived, he cupped his fist at Kong Jin and said, Brother Kong Jin? It's me. Fatty was slightly taken aback. Brother Kong Jin's cultivation should be at the 5th level of the spiritual ocean realm, right? Young Master Di Feng, I would like to invite Brother Kong to participate in the 5th level spiritual ocean realm competition. What do you think? The young man said. Me? Haha, I'm honored by young Master Di Feng's high regard for me. I agree. The fatty laughed heartily, feeling a little smug. So many people had chosen him to fight, so he was naturally proud. Lu Ming and the rest were moved. It was probably because Fatty had displayed his powerful combat strength in the battle with the people from the Heavenly Corpse sect some time ago. That was why he was invited to fight. Many thanks. The young man laughed, then turned around and left. Why didn't you invite Lu Ming? Ruan Tingting was a little surprised. Logically speaking, Lu Ming had displayed even more powerful combat strength in the battle with Guiyu of the Heavenly Corpse sect half a month ago. Why was Lu Ming not invited to the battle at the 6th level of the spiritual ocean tier? Xian Yinqing, Fatty, Qiao Xian, and the others were also surprised. Most of the God-tier geniuses on the list of top 1,000 talents are at the 6th level of the spiritual ocean realm. I guess that because there are too many God-tier geniuses at the 6th level of the spiritual ocean realm, and they don't know Lu Ming's bloodline level, they didn't choose him. Wang Haoxin said. Many of the god-level geniuses on the list of top 1,000 talents were at the 6th level of the spiritual ocean realm, such as Wang Haoxin and Long Qianli. With enough people, it was normal that they didn't choose Lu Ming. For example, Wang Haoxin and Long Qianli, who had only awakened first-class divine bloodlines, were not selected. Lu Ming smiled. Since he did not need to fight, he could relax and watch the battles between the other geniuses. It was good to broaden his horizons. Not long after, the candidates for the 3 parties were selected. This time, the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace will be the host. Let us begin. Di Feng laughed as he announced a name. Buzz. A young figure flew up to the center of the fighting ring. His body was like a blade and an extremely sharp aura filled the air. This person's cultivation was at the peak 4th level of the spiritual ocean tier. Looking at his cultivation technique, he was the Jiang family's chosen one. Who wants to fight me? The Jiang family's sovereign looked in the direction of the Heavenly Corpse sect and the Sky Demon Valley and shouted, "I'll do it." From the direction of the Heavenly Corpse sect, a figure flickered out and landed on the fighting ring. The aura he revealed was also at the peak 4th level of the spiritual ocean tier. Thump. Without saying anything, the young man from the Jiang family stepped forward. The sharp aura around him became even more intense. His entire person was like a battle blade. His arm was like a saber, slashing toward the young man from the Sky Corpse sect. The young man from the Heavenly Corpse sect quickly retreated, distancing himself from the Jiang family's sovereign. With a wave of his hand, 9 refined corpses appeared in front of him. The 9 refined corpses exuded an ancient aura. They were wearing metal armor and holding bronze spears. The aura that the 9 refined corpses emitted had actually all reached the 6th level of the spiritual ocean tier. The young man from the Heavenly Corpse sect was only at the peak 4th level of the spiritual ocean tier, yet he was able to control 9 refined corpses at the 6th level of the spiritual ocean tier. He was absolutely terrifying and had an unparalleled talent in refining corpses. Kill? The Jiang family's chosen had a serious expression on his face as he struck out with his palm. Thump. He clashed with a refined corpse and sent it flying. The refined corpse's skin was as tough as iron, and it was invulnerable. The Jiang family's paragon had only sent the refined corpse flying, but he hadn't cracked it. After the first refined corpse was sent flying, the other 8 refined corpses pounced toward the Jiang family's chosen. 8 long spears pierced through the air, creating a terrifying sonic boom as they flew toward the Jiang family's chosen. The Jiang family's paragon let out a long howl as his body glowed with a black light. He was like an incomparably sharp divine weapon as he slaughtered his way through. The 2 of them were definitely extremely powerful geniuses. Although they weren't god-level geniuses, their battle prowess was definitely terrifying among those of the same level. The 2 of them engaged in a great battle, and dozens of rounds passed in the blink of an eye. The Jiang family's elites charged forward, trying to break through the refined corpse's defense and attack the Heavenly Corpse sect's disciples. The best way to break a refined corpse was to defeat the person controlling it. However, it would be extremely difficult for the Jiang family's elites to break out of the 9 refined corpses, which were 2 levels higher than him and were not afraid of death. The situation turned into a stalemate. After more than 100 rounds of fighting, the Jiang family's chosen one ran out of true yuan and was thrown off the fighting stage, ending in defeat. The Emperor Heaven Divine Palace had already lost the first battle in the exchange. This caused the expressions of many people to turn unsightly. After the young man from the Heavenly Corpse sect won, he also flew down the fighting ring and sat down cross-legged to recover. He could have chosen to continue fighting, but it was clear that he had used up a lot of his energy. He could only fight again after he had recovered. The Heavenly Corpse sect had won this round, so they should send one more person to fight. Buzz. Another young man from the Heavenly Corpse sect stepped onto the fighting ring. This time, it was the Sky Demon Valley's turn to fight. This time the Sky Demon Valley sent a tall young man. He was a demon tiger with the bloodline of the divine beast Sky Tiger. However, the concentration of the bloodline was not even 10%. Among the demonic beast descendants, it was very rare for a bloodline to reach 10% purity, just like how it was rare for humans to awaken a divine bloodline. However, even if it did not reach 10% purity, it was close. This demonic tiger was very powerful and defeated the disciple of the Heavenly Corpse sect after a few dozen moves. In this way the Heavenly Corpse sect and the Sky Demon Valley each won one battle. I'll continue to battle. This time, it's the turn of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace, right? The eyes of the demonic tiger turned to the geniuses of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. I'll do it. In the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, a young man flew up. This time the chosen one was the Dongfang family, which ranked first among the 6 great ancient families. He was the pride of the Dongfang family. It was said that the Dongfang family had inherited 2 extremely powerful god-tier cultivation techniques. This elite cultivated the 9 gods heaven-shattering scroll, which could borrow the power of a god. It was as if a god had possessed him, and his combat strength was extremely terrifying. This time the elite of the Dongfang clan had defeated the demonic tiger. Chapter 830. 830 Fatty's Battle. Just like that, the 3 sides took turns to fight, each with their own wins and losses. Most god-tier geniuses on the list of top 1,000 talents had reached the 6th level of the spiritual ocean realm. For example, Long Qianli and Wang Haoxin, who were ranked at the bottom of the list, had reached the 6th level of the spiritual ocean realm. Therefore, it was rare for god-tier geniuses to appear at the 4th level of the spiritual ocean tier. In the end, a new talent emerged in the Heavenly Corpse sect. He had awakened a first-class divine bloodline, and his combat strength was so strong that he could sweep away everyone. In the end, the battle for the 4th level of the spiritual ocean tier was won by the Heavenly Corpse sect. This caused Di Feng's face to darken. In the past, the Emperor Sky Divine Palace and the Sky Demon Valley had the same strength, while the Heavenly Corpse sect was the weakest among the 3 forces. However, this time the Heavenly Corpse sect had won. Next, let's have the battle of the 5th level of the spiritual ocean realm. Di Feng announced. The battle at the 5th level of the spiritual ocean tier was even more intense and terrifying. However, this battle platform was covered in inscriptions and arrays. Not to mention spiritual ocean tier, even spirit embryo realm experts couldn't damage it, so everyone could do as they pleased. The battle of the 5th level of the spiritual ocean tier started with wins and losses on all 3 sides. However, not long after, the Sky Demon Valley sent out a powerful descendant whose bloodline purity had reached 10%. His combat strength was extremely terrifying and he suppressed the other 2 sides. This person had the bloodline of the ancient heavenly crocodile. His defense was terrifying and he was extremely strong. 3 people from the Heavenly Corpse sect and the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace had been defeated by him. Damn it. Does the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace not have any 5th level spiritual ocean tier prodigies who have awakened divine bloodlines? The geniuses on the list of top 1,000 talents seem to have all broken through to the 6th level of the spiritual ocean realm. If there are any, they must be newly rising geniuses. The crowd was in a heated discussion. I'll do it. At this moment, a figure flew into the arena. Someone recognized that this young man was one of the supreme talents of Di Tian's Imperial Guards. What made people excited was that this heaven's favorite had awakened a first-class divine bloodline. His combat strength was so strong that he was able to fight against the demon race's heaven's favorite. In the end, they fought for hundreds of rounds without a clear winner. In the end, everyone discussed and decided that the 2 were tied. However, what made people depressed was that another young man from the Sky Demon Valley went up. This young man was a flood dragon with the bloodline of a true dragon, and he had also reached 10%. He had defeated several geniuses of the Heavenly Corpse sect and the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace in a row. It can't be, right? The Sky Demon Valley has so many powerful existences at the 5th level of the spiritual ocean tier. Could it be that they're going to lose this battle again? In that case, the Heavenly Corpse sect and the Sky Demon Valley will each win a game. This is very disadvantageous for the Emperor Sky Divine Palace. Indeed. The 6th level of the spiritual ocean realm is the battlefield for God-ranked geniuses. God-ranked geniuses are as numerous as the clouds and none of them are weak. It's too difficult to win in the end. It's the same for the 7th level of the spiritual ocean realm. In this case, wouldn't our Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace fall behind this time? Many people from the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace were discussing, feeling worried. I'll go and meet this flood dragon. Maybe I can get another piece of flood dragon meat. This flood dragon seems to be of the wind attribute. Fatty said as he licked his lips. The surrounding crowd was speechless. Fatty, can you do it? The other party is a descendant with 10% of a divine beast's bloodline. Yuan Tingting was a little worried. Fatty's third bloodline had yet to awaken. Could he defeat his opponent? Tingting, don't worry. This Fatty isn't that weak. Lu Ming smiled. The Fatty's combat strength was extremely powerful. Before Lu Ming had awakened his divine bloodline, he was not confident that he could defeat the Fatty. In a battle of the same level, even if the other party had a 10% concentration of the divine beast bloodline, Lu Ming still believed in Fatty. The flood dragon from last time was too high in level, reaching the peak 6th level spiritual ocean realm and having 20% of the divine beast bloodline. That was why Fatty was suppressed. Haha, Lu Ming knows me best. The Fatty laughed. Carrying his axe, he flew up. Little bug, let this lord fight you. Fatty chuckled. Fat pig, you're looking for death. This monster race worm dragon was wearing a green robe and had a gloomy expression. Ao Feng, cripple this Fatty for me. In the demon race area, Ao Qian's cold voice rang out. Last time, one of his legs had been cut off by Fatty's axe. What is it called? The flood dragon meat does taste good. There's still some left. When we're done, we'll go back and continue barbecue. The Fatty grinned. This infuriated the entire monster race. Damn it, this Fatty deserves to die. Kill this fat pig, this is preposterous. Many of the demon race's paragons shouted in anger as they looked at Fatty with killing intent. As for those from the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace, all of them had dumbfounded looks on their faces. Could it be that this Fatty had really roasted the flood dragon meat? This is true, I saw it with my own eyes. Last time, someone saw Lu Ming and the others cutting off one of Ao Qian's legs and confirmed it. Many people looked at Ao Qian and found that he was indeed missing a leg. Their expressions became even weirder. Fatty, you're dead. I'll cripple your limbs. Ao Feng's expression was extremely unsightly. Nonsense, eat my axe. The Fatty raised his axe and slashed at Ao Feng. A long spear appeared in Ao Feng's hand, and he thrust it towards the Fatty. Clang. A loud sound rang out and the long spear buzzed. Ao Feng's long spear trembled violently, and he was actually forced back a step by the Fatty. How is that possible? Ao Feng roared in anger and waved his spear to fight again. Heaven-suppressing demon axe. The giant axe in the Fatty's hand turned into a sky-splitting axe, and like a storm, it chopped toward Ao Feng. Clang. Clang. A continuous roar rang out on the fighting ring. The battle axe and the spear kept clashing, and Ao Feng had to take a step back every time they clashed. The other people on the scene were extremely shocked. It was obvious that Fatty had not awakened a divine bloodline, but he was able to suppress Ao Feng, whose bloodline concentration had reached 10%. This combat power was too terrifying. This person's combat strength is extremely strong. From the looks of it, his third bloodline hasn't awakened yet. If his third bloodline can awaken a divine bloodline, he has endless potential. We must find a way to rope him into our camp. Di Feng said to the person beside him. Martial Emperor Di had many descendants. They were also competing with each other and were divided into many camps. That's right. However, this person's third bloodline hasn't been awakened yet. If he can't awaken a divine bloodline, everything will be for naught. Another person said. Let's observe him for a while longer. Lu Ming and the beautiful Xian Yanqing are also rare talents. If I'm not mistaken, Lu Ming should have awakened a divine bloodline. We should keep an eye on him. Di Feng instructed. The other man nodded. Roar. At this moment, Ao Feng roared loudly and directly transformed into his original form, pouncing towards the Fatty. Only when a demonic beast reverted to its original form could its combat strength be fully unleashed. Insect, watch me cut you. The fat man shouted. His fat body swelled up, and the battle axe in his hand became even more terrifying. It became a sky-splitting axe and slashed at the flood dragon. Bang! Bang! A violent collision was heard. In the blink of an eye, the two had exchanged dozens of moves. The Fatty became fiercer as he fought. He raised his head and howled, and the axe radiance shook the sky. Poochie! Blood splattered everywhere as a huge flood dragon claw was chopped off by the Fatty's axe. Chapter 831. 831 50% Divine Beast Bloodline. Ao Feng let out a shrill scream. His huge body struggled madly and retreated. In a few breaths he was out of the fighting ring and returned to his human form. He looked at Fatty with hatred. A huge dragon claw was left on the fighting ring. "Damn it, you should die," Ao Feng shouted. Bang. At this moment, a figure landed heavily on the fighting ring, exuding a strong killing intent. The figure was wearing red armor. It was the young man who had provoked Lu Ming with Ao Qian. "Damn, Fatty, you've completely angered me." The red-armored young man's voice was cold, and there was a hint of madness in it. The aura it revealed was also at the peak 5th level spiritual ocean realm. "My name is Aoquan. Fat pig, do you dare to fight me?" The red-armored youth stared at the fatty. Lu Ming frowned. He felt that this young man was not simple. He was indeed at the peak 5th level of the spiritual ocean realm, but he was extremely arrogant. He knew that Lu Ming had defeated Ao Qian, yet he still dared to provoke Lu Ming. He was definitely not simple. "Fatty, be careful." Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to the fatty. Fatty's eyes flashed and he grinned. "Why wouldn't I?" Bang. The moment Fatty said that, Aoquan stepped forward and punched out. Fast, it was too fast. Aoquan's body and fist seemed to be connected. With a punch, he appeared in front of Fatty and his fist was aimed at Fatty's arm. He was going to cripple Fatty's arm. The fatty's expression changed. He didn't expect his opponent to be so fast. At the critical moment he could only lift his axe to block. Clang. Aoquan's fist landed on Fatty's battle axe, causing it to shake violently. Fatty's face changed and his body was sent flying. Bang. Aoquan stomped heavily on the ground. He was like an ancient beast charging towards the fatty in a brutal way. He punched towards the fatty's arm. Fatty roared in anger. His body swelled up and he swung his battle axe like the wind. Thump. Aoquan's fist was even harder than a divine weapon. When it collided with the battle axe, a loud boom was heard. In the violent shaking, Fatty let out a pained cry. He couldn't hold the battle axe and it flew far away. He retreated and blood spurted out of his mouth. Countless people's expressions changed. This scene was too shocking. Just now, Fatty's combat power was obvious to all. Although he had not awakened a divine bloodline, he still defeated a flood dragon that had 10% of a divine beast bloodline. It could be said that he had shocked everyone. But now, in front of Aoquan, he couldn't even fight back. Without a doubt, Aoquan was a descendant with a strong god-beast bloodline. The key was, how thick was it to be so terrifying? "I'll cripple your 4 limbs." Aoquan shouted coldly and charged towards Fatty. "Fatty, step down from the fighting stage and admit defeat." Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to the fatty. On the side, Xian Yinqing's brows were tightly furrowed, while Ruan Tingting and Xiao Xian's hearts were in their mouths. Bang. Fatty took a step forward and his fat body retreated rapidly. However, Aoquan's speed was too terrifying. He caught up to Fatty in an instant and threw out another terrifying punch. He didn't do anything, just a simple punch. However, Aoquan's physical strength was just too terrifying. The fat man roared as an ancient shield appeared in his hand. Boom. Aoquan's fist landed on the ancient shield and sent it flying. The ancient shield smashed into Fatty's body and almost flattened him. His body was also sent flying. This time he was thrown out of the fighting ring and fell heavily out of the ring. Ruan Tingting and Xiao Xian immediately flew over and helped Fatty up. "Fatty, you're not dead, are you?" Ruan Tingting asked with concern. Fatty coughed out a few more mouthfuls of blood. His face was pale as he said, "It's fine, it's no big deal. My skin is thick." "Humph, you're lucky this time." Aoquan stood on the battle stage and looked down at Fatty, saying coldly, "What are you so arrogant for? If I awaken a divine bloodline, I'll torture you like an insect." The fat man shouted, his eyes flashing with a cold light. Fatty was not one to suffer losses. This time he had been defeated so miserably by someone of the same level, mainly because he had not awakened his 3rd bloodline. "Fatty, I'll avenge you after the exchange." Lu Ming walked over and cast a cold glance at Aoquan. Aoquan looked straight into Lu Ming's eyes and smiled coldly. Lu Ming, Fatty, and the rest returned to the grandstand. Fatty began to heal his injuries. Who else wants to come up for a fight? Aoquan looked around and planned to continue challenging. There was complete silence. Although there were still a few people from the Empyrean Heavenly Divine Palace and Heavenly Corpse sect who had yet to fight, they were all ordinary Heaven's Pride experts. The combat strength that Aoquan had displayed just now was simply too terrifying. If they went up, wouldn't they just be looking for a beating? No one from either side went up. Let the Heavenly Demon Valley win this round. Di Feng helplessly replied. In the battle of the 5th level of the spiritual ocean tier, the Sky Demon Valley won. However, Aoquen had no plans to head down. He looked around and said, since that's the case, I'll challenge your 6th level spiritual ocean tier expert now. Let's fight. What? You're at the 5th level of the spiritual ocean tier, and you want to challenge someone at the 6th level? He's too arrogant. The surrounding crowd shouted unhappily. Brother Peng, he's at the 5th level of the spiritual ocean realm. Is he really going to participate in the battle of the 6th level? Di Feng frowned as he looked at the golden-robed young man. That's right. Among the 10 people at the 5th level of the spiritual ocean realm, Aoquen's name is there. Among the 6th level, Aoquen's name is also there. It should be fine for a lower level to participate in a high-level battle, right? The golden-robed youth laughed. Of course you can. Di Feng nodded. It was naturally fine for a lower level to participate in a high-level battle, as long as he was willing. Aoquen wanted to participate in a battle at the 6th level of the spiritual ocean realm as a 5th level spiritual ocean realm. Who's going to fight? Aoquen looked around. I'll do it. A voice rang out. From the side of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace, a young man flew up onto the battle platform. There was no lack of geniuses in the 6th level of the spiritual ocean tier. The Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace and the Heavenly Corpse sect had many experts. This young man was the supreme talent of Di Tian's Imperial Guards. He had awakened a second-rank divine bloodline and was extremely powerful. The next moment the two figures collided. However, the result of the battle was shocking. In just a few moves the Imperial Guard was forced to retreat. In the end he even used bloodline fusion, but it was also useless. He was forced back to his original form and was thrown off the fighting stage while coughing out blood. Everyone was shocked. With a cultivation base 1 level lower, he actually defeated a prodigy who had awakened a 2nd level divine bloodline. This was too terrifying. 50% divine beast bloodline. Di Feng's eyes flashed as he announced a shocking result. Countless people gasped. This Aoquen actually had 50% god beast bloodline. That was too terrifying. This meant that half of Aoquen's blood was no different from that of a god beast. If a human martial artist could not awaken a 5th level divine bloodline, they would not be able to fight against someone of the same level. Even if they were 1 level higher, they would have to at least awaken a 4th level divine bloodline. Furthermore, there were strong and weak divine beasts. Aoquen was obviously a flood dragon. His bloodline was inherited from a true dragon, so he must be even more terrifying. His body was invincible and his strength was boundless. Chapter 832. 832 Challenging Lu Ming. Fuck, so he has 50% true dragon bloodline. No wonder he's so arrogant. But if I awaken a divine bloodline, I'll definitely beat him up. The fatty was cursing, but he was very confident. Fatty, you're just bragging. You can awaken a bloodline that's above divine level 5? Wan Tingting attacked. The scene was in an uproar and there were all kinds of discussions. A 50% concentration of the divine beast bloodline was equivalent to a human's 5th level divine bloodline. In the list of top 1,000 talents in the Eastern Barren Territory, only the top geniuses had such a bloodline. Even Di Feng and Shiremo, who were the strongest at the scene, were said to only have 4th level divine bloodlines. If Aoquen's cultivation increased, he would be able to compete with the top 100 on the list of top 1,000 talents. Who else is coming up? Aoquen looked around arrogantly. Everyone was silent. After a long time, one person from the Heavenly Corpse sect went up. This person was an extremely famous Heaven's favorite, ranked 189th on the list of top 1,000 talents. He had awakened a 3rd level divine bloodline and had a cultivation at the peak of the 6th level spiritual ocean realm. This person fought with Aoquen for nearly 100 moves. In the end, Aoquen transformed into his original form, a 500-meter-long blood-red flood dragon. His aura was soaring like a real dragon. With one strike he sent the paragon of the Heavenly Corpse sect flying. Another victory. At this moment, the Empyrean Heavenly Divine Palace and the Heavenly Corpse sect were both silent. Could it be that even this round at the 6th level of the spiritual ocean tier was going to be won by Aoquen? There were still a few people from the Empyrean Heavenly Divine Palace who had awakened 3rd-class divine bloodlines. However, even the paragon of the Heavenly Corpse sect had been completely defeated. Wouldn't they, who had third-class divine bloodlines, be defeated as well? There were also a few people who had awakened fourth-level divine level bloodlines, but their cultivation had all surpassed the sixth-level spiritual ocean tier. Both sides fell silent. They had not expected such a terrifying monster to appear in the Sky Demon Valley. Furthermore, he was a new monster with a low cultivation. On the list of top 1,000 talents, geniuses of the same level as him already had extremely profound cultivation, far exceeding the sixth level of the spiritual ocean realm. Alcuin transformed back into his human form and looked around. Suddenly, he looked at Lu Ming and pointed at him. Weren't you very arrogant? You injured a heaven's favorite of my flood dragon race and crippled his leg. Now I challenge you. Do you dare to accept my challenge? Following the direction of Alcuin's finger, almost everyone looked at Lu Ming. Alcuin was taking the initiative to challenge Lu Ming. It was obvious that there was a grudge between the two of them. You want to challenge him? He's not in our 10-person list. Di Feng frowned. It's fine. This time, it's not counted in the competition. It's a personal grudge between me and him. Alcuin shouted and looked at Lu Ming. Brat, if you have the guts, come up and fight me. If you don't, you can directly admit defeat and kneel down to beg for mercy. Lu Ming stood up, a cold smile on his face. He was a little surprised. He didn't expect Alcuin to challenge him. However, this was exactly what he wanted. Originally, if he wasn't in the list of 10, he wouldn't be able to fight. He was still thinking that after the exchange, he would find trouble with Alcuin, who knew that he would send himself up. I accept this battle. Lu Ming's figure moved and he appeared on the fighting ring. This surprised many people. Alcuin's combat strength was obvious to all. He was extremely powerful. Even if he was one level higher than Alcuin, he would not be able to defeat Alcuin. Lu Ming actually dared to accept the challenge. What was his confidence? Or was he provoked by Alcuin and couldn't put down his face? Wasn't this too unwise? Wasn't he just looking for a beating by stepping onto the fighting stage? Haha, I didn't think that you would really dare to go up the stage. In that case, do you dare to have a life and death battle with me? Alcuin's eyes flashed with greed. Last time, Ao Qian told him that there was something in Lu Ming's body that had a strong attraction to him. It was very likely that it was Lu Ming's bloodline, which made him very tempted. Something that could make Ao Qian unable to resist the temptation and attack was definitely not an ordinary sound. It might be able to increase the purity of his true dragon bloodline to another level. Although Lu Ming had already restrained himself and he could not sense it, he still decided to find an opportunity to kill Lu Ming and seize his blood meridian. Therefore he proposed a life and death battle. The surrounding people were also shocked. It seemed that Lu Ming had a deep enmity with the Flood Dragon tribe. Otherwise, Alcuin would not have suggested a life and death battle. A life and death battle was different from the sparring just now. In the previous battle, one would usually stop at a certain point, and at most, one would be seriously injured. There would not be any deaths. However, in a life and death battle, one party must die before it would end. Would Lu Ming agree? Everyone couldn't help but look forward to it. Life and death battle, life and death battle. Fatty, this whole flood dragon meat is enough for us to eat for 10 days to half a month, right? Lu Ming suddenly smiled and looked at the fatty. Ah, that's enough, that's enough. If you eat sparingly, it should be enough. The fatty grinned. However, his eyes were solemn. He secretly transmitted a message to Lu Ming, telling him to be careful. He had felt Alcuin's power just now. It was not a small matter. The conversation between the two of them stunned the people around them. Also, did Lu Ming agree to it? You're looking for death, kid. Did you agree or not? Alcuin said coldly. There's flood dragon meat to eat, why wouldn't you agree? Lu Ming smiled faintly. Alright, so you agree. Hee then go to hell. Alcuin's laughter was filled with killing intent. He did not expect that Lu Ming would really agree to it. He had only casually mentioned the death match. He initially thought that Lu Ming would definitely reject him out of fear. He was even thinking that if Lu Ming did not agree to it, he would find ways to find trouble with Lu Ming after the exchange. He did not expect that Lu Ming would agree to it. He was overjoyed. Boom. He did not want to waste any more time. He strode forward like an awakened primordial beast and rushed toward Lu Ming. His huge fist was aimed at Lu Ming. Bang. Lu Ming also took a step forward and threw a punch at the flood dragon. This shocked many people. Lu Ming actually dared to use his fist to receive Aoquan's fist. Everyone had seen how powerful Aoquan's fist was. Even a level 6 spirit weapon would be shattered by him. Lu Ming actually wanted to fight Aoquan head-on with his own fist. How was this possible? Wasn't this courting death? Many people had the same thought. Even Ruan Tingting, Qiao Xian, Wang Haoxian and the others widened their eyes and stared at the fighting ring with a hint of worry. On the other hand, Xian Yinqing was the calmest. She had known Lu Ming for a long time and understood him the best. Since Lu Ming was so calm, it meant that he was confident. Under the gaze of tens of thousands of eyes, the two fists finally collided. Boom. A terrifying explosion was heard, and a terrifying force swept out in all directions with the fist as the center. It formed a violent storm, and many people had to make a move to break the storm. Thump. The fighting ring shook violently. Then, everyone saw a figure step on the ground and take 7 steps back. Chapter 833. 833 Chapter 833 Suppressing Aoquan. Everyone's eyes opened wide in shock. The person who retreated was actually Aoquan. Aoquan was actually forced to take 7 steps back by Lu Ming's punch. How was this possible? On the other hand, Lu Ming's body only swayed a little. In a fist-to-fist exchange, Lu Ming actually had the upper hand. Was Lu Ming still human? He was simply a beast in human form. As expected of a flood dragon with 50% true dragon bloodline. It's really powerful. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with surprise. His cultivation was 1 level higher than Ao Kuan's, and he had already used 80% of his vital essence. With the prison-suppressing heaven technique, which was equivalent to a high-grade divine martial technique, he was so powerful that even Ao Qian and Jiu had been beaten to the point of vomiting blood, let alone the geniuses who were 1 level lower than him. However, Aoquan only took 7 steps back. This was the first time Lu Ming had met someone whose cultivation level was lower than his but could still block his attack. Lu Ming was shocked. Aoquan was extremely shocked. However, after the shock it was followed by endless anger. Aoquan was a god's favored one. He had 50% of the true dragon's bloodline in his body and his talent was heaven-defying. Now in a head-on collision he was forced to retreat by Lu Ming. This was unforgivable. Roar. Aoquan let out a dragon's roar. The muscles on his body tightened and swelled up, pushing up his red armor. His blood rushed into the sky and he actually turned into a true dragon, roaring in the sky. Thump. He took a step forward and rushed toward Lu Ming. His huge fist, wrapped in a layer of red light, was aimed at Lu Ming. This punch was even more overbearing and shocking. Boom, boom, boom. In Lu Ming's spirit ocean, the primordial qi in his body churned. The primordial qi in his body burst out and let out a tsunami-like sound. He used his fist to activate the prison-suppressing heaven technique and threw a punch. Boom. The two fists collided for the second time, stirring up a storm. Tens of thousands of eyes were once again fixed on him. Who would have the upper hand this time? In the hurricane, a figure stepped onto the battle stage and retreated. This time he retreated 9 steps. It was still Aoquan. Aoquan was forced back once more and even further. As for Lu Ming, his figure only swayed a little. Other than shock there was more shock. Lu Ming had actually suppressed Aoquan. In the Emperor Sky Divine Palace, the eyes of Di Feng and a few of the strongest people shone brightly. Although they had already heard that Lu Ming had easily defeated Jiu of the Heavenly Corpse sect, they did not think too highly of him. His name was not even on the list of 10 people at the 6th level of the spiritual ocean tier. However, they realized that they had greatly underestimated Lu Ming's ability. With Lu Ming's combat strength, it was hard to find someone stronger than him among the experts at the 6th level of the spiritual ocean tier. The paragons of the Heavenly Corpse sect were also shocked. The most shocked ones were the Sky Demon Valley's elites. They knew how strong Aoquan was. With 50% true dragon bloodline, if he grew up, he would definitely become one of the pillars of the Sky Demon Valley. Now he was suppressed by Lu Ming. Ah, Lu Ming, I want you to die. Aoquan howled and his body grew rapidly. In the end, he turned into a 500-meter-long red flood dragon. A dragon's roar was heard. Its huge claws, which were as large as mountains, swiped at Lu Ming, causing the space to tremble. Bang! Lu Ming's punch collided with the flood dragon's claw. His body trembled and he took a few steps back. Aoquan, who had returned to his original form, was stronger in all aspects. Aoquan's huge dragon body gave off a blood-red light. It was like the will of blood. This was the natural fighting technique of dragons. He roared and pounced on Lu Ming again. Then I'll suppress you. A cold glint flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. The prison-suppressing steel bloodline appeared above his head, and 2 rays of golden light shone brightly. Many people were shocked. They were not shocked at how advanced Lu Ming's blood meridian was. Instead, they were shocked that his blood meridian was too low level. Today was a gathering of geniuses. Divine-level bloodlines had appeared frequently, and everyone was already numb to it. A second-level divine-rank bloodline was nothing. Lu Ming's combat strength was too strong. Everyone had thought that Lu Ming's blood meridian should be a 4th-level divine-level blood meridian, or at least a 3rd-level divine-level blood meridian. They had never expected that Lu Ming's blood meridian was only a 2nd-level divine-level blood meridian. It was unbelievable that a 2nd-level divine bloodline could be so powerful. Buzz. The prison-suppressing steel's bloodline trembled. Lu Ming's body turned into a ray of light and merged with the prison-suppressing steel's bloodline. The prison-suppressing steel's bloodline exuded a terrifying pressure. It was vast and heavy as if it could suppress everything. Bang! The prison-suppressing steel shook and collided with the water dragon's claw. Alcuin hollered, his giant dragon body actually shook like a wave and he retreated. The prison-suppressing steel continued to shake and flew into the sky. It grew rapidly and finally became 10,000 meters tall. Like an ancient mountain, it pressed down on Alcuin. Alcuin hollered in rage. He felt a terrifying pressure and his body was filled with energy. He hollered and charged into the sky. The dragon was in the sky trying to fight with the prison-suppressing steel. Boom. In the end, Alcuin was like a crawling worm. He was suppressed by the prison-suppressing steel and smashed into the fighting ring. A strange sound was heard. It was like a toad being hit by an iron hammer. It was accompanied by a shrill scream. The battle stage rumbled and the heavens and earth shook. Alcuin cried out in pain as blood splattered everywhere. He was almost crushed alive. Blood spurted out from his huge mouth like it was free. Bang! The prison-suppressing steel shook and continued to attack. The sound of the bone armor breaking could be heard. Alcuin spat out even more blood. The flood dragon's blood dyed the fighting stage red. Alcuin cried out in pain. He was already half dead and laid on the battle stage without moving. Only his eyes were still filled with shock. The prison-suppressing steel shrunk and transformed back into Lu Ming's figure, stepping on the dragon's head. Many people gasped in shock. He won. After Lu Ming used the blood meridian fusion, he easily defeated Alcuin and won. It was shocking that the demon race's prodigy who had a 50% true dragon bloodline purity, was defeated by Lu Ming. Many people were guessing what Lu Ming's blood meridian was. Prison guarding steel? What kind of bloodline was it? He had never heard of such a bloodline. It was too terrifying and its power was shocking. The moment he used bloodline fusion, he easily suppressed Alcuin. The divine monument expanded to 10,000 meters, and a flood dragon was suppressed below it. It was like a myth. Now I'll send you on your way. Lu Ming's cold voice was heard. The infinite dragon spear appeared in his hand. The sharp tip of the spear was aimed at Alcuin's forehead. No, don't help. Alcuin hollered. He had half of the true dragon's bloodline. He was a peerless genius of the monster race. He didn't want to die. He still had a bright future. With his talent, it was certain that he would advance to level 8 in the future and stand shoulder to shoulder with the human spiritual god realm. He could even break through to the supreme realm. He also had an ambition to break through to the supreme demon emperor's position and become an emperor ruling the world. He still had so many goals that he had yet to achieve, so how could he die? Chapter 834. 834 Chapter 834 Domineering Kill. He had come to 9 dragons to train himself and see if he could obtain any opportunities. He had not come here to die. He had never thought that he would face such a situation. At this moment he was extremely terrified. Stop. A long and sharp cry was heard, spreading for hundreds of miles. The golden-robed young man in the Sky Demon Valley spoke. Lu Ming, right? I advise you to stop. Even if you win this battle, you can't kill Alcuin. The golden-robed young man's eyes seemed to be golden. He stood high in the sky with his hands behind his back, looking down at Lu Ming. A faint majesty exuded from his body, like an emperor looking down on his people. And NBSP, this young man was no small matter. Even Corpse Demon and Di Feng were very polite to him. The demon clan of the Sky Demon Valley was unfathomable, and the geniuses of the younger generation were also very frightening. Because the demon clan of the Sky Demon Valley was not on the list of top 1,000 talents, no one knew how many powerful descendants there were in the Sky Demon Valley and how pure their bloodline was. This golden-robed young man was the same. He gave off an unfathomable feeling. Ordinary people would be more or less afraid. However, Lu Ming did not buy it. He glanced at the gold-robed young man indifferently and said, "I can't kill him? What a joke, Alcuin and I had a life-and-death battle. One side will die and the other side will die. Don't you understand this logic?" The light in the golden-robed young man's eyes grew brighter, and a faint golden light emanated from his body. He said coldly, "I advise you to let Alcuin go. He's a rare genius of the demon race and the son of some big shot in the Flood Dragon tribe. If you kill him, even if you hide in 9 dragons, you'll definitely take part in the Battle of Providence with your talent. Then, if you meet someone from the demon race in the Battle of Providence, you'll definitely die." This was a blatant threat. The Heavenly Monster tribe was filled with geniuses, and they had never been weaker than the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. In this generation, there were many geniuses and descendants with extremely dense bloodlines. If they targeted someone in the Battle of Destiny, anyone would be afraid. "Hehe, you've lost and now you're threatening me from behind. What a joke." Lu Ming's calm voice was heard. He continued, "I just want to ask, if I lose this battle, will Alcuin show mercy?" The Heavenly Monster tribe quieted down. The demon race was brutal. If Lu Ming was defeated, Alcuin would not let him go. "Your identities are different," the golden-robed young man said after a moment of silence. "Dogs hit." Lu Ming only replied with 2 words. Boom. His aura exploded and he raised his infinite dragon spear high, stabbing it fiercely at Alcuin's glabella. "No!" Alcuin hollered, his huge body wanted to struggle. In the next moment, the infinite dragon spear pierced through Alcuin's forehead. The entire spear entered and the powerful spear light pierced through Alcuin's head. One spear pierced through Alcuin's head. Alcuin hollered, a look of unwillingness flashed in his eyes. His huge dragon body struggled for a while before he stopped moving. "Alcuin dead. Damn it. You're looking for death." Several angry roars came from the Sky Demon Valley. Buzz, buzz. 3 figures flickered and appeared around Lu Ming. Their violent auras enveloped Lu Ming. The peak of the 7th level of the spiritual ocean realm. These 3 figures were all equivalent to the demonic race's prodigies at the 7th level of the spiritual ocean realm and were extremely powerful. In the sky, the golden-robed young man didn't move, but his killing intent was so strong that he didn't even try to hide it. Everyone from the Heavenly Corpse sect looked on coldly, their eyes flashing with anticipation. They hoped that more of the Heavenly Demon Valleys and the Emperor Sky Divine Palace's geniuses would die. That way it would definitely be beneficial to the Heavenly Corpse sect. "Brother Peng, this is too much." Di Feng frowned as he spoke. After all, Lu Ming was a genius of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. He could not just sit by and do nothing. That's right. It's a battle of life and death. It's normal for Lu Ming to kill Alcuin. What's the meaning of you sending a few 7th-level spiritual ocean tier elites? Do you think that there's no one else in our Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace? My brothers, go. The fat man seized the opportunity to shout, trying to encourage the others to help Lu Ming. "Fatty, you're right. Lu Ming is at the 6th level of the spiritual ocean tier. If you have the ability, send out an expert at the 6th level of the spiritual ocean tier to fight him." Xian Yanqing agreed with Fatty. "Not bad. If you have the ability, let's fight at the same level." Ruan Tingting and the others chimed in. "It's fine." Lu Ming waved his hand and the Fatty and the rest quietened down. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. He glanced at the 3 demons and said, "If you guys want to fight, then fight. So what if you're 1 level higher?" So what if he was 1 level higher? His voice reverberated throughout the entire area, filled with Ling Yun's heroic spirit. If Alcuin dared to fight an expert 1 level above him, how could Lu Ming not? To Lu Ming, it was not rare for him to be able to fight someone of a higher level. So what if the other party was an extremely powerful Heaven's favorite? "Alright, you're the one who's looking for death. Don't move, I'll kill him." A blue-robed young man stepped out, his eyes flashing with lightning. Buzz. The prison-suppressing Steel's bloodline reappeared. The fighting spirit in Lu Ming's eyes explained everything. Die. The blue-robed young man turned into a huge bird. His wingspan was more than 30 meters wide, and his body was covered with dense lightning. This is the lightning bird. It has the bloodline of the thunder god bird. This lightning bird already has 30% of the bloodline power. Cries of alarm came from the surroundings. Although the bloodline density of this lightning bird wasn't as high as Alcuin's, its cultivation had reached the peak of the 7th level spiritual ocean realm. Its battle power was much stronger than Alcuin's. The lightning bird's speed was astonishing. It was like a bolt of lightning that flashed past. Endless lightning bolts filled the air and headed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming performed blood fusion and turned it into the prison-suppressing steel, which collided with the lightning bird. Boom. The lightning bird was sent flying, but the prison-suppressing steel also trembled slightly this time. Buzz. Then, the prison-suppressing steel expanded rapidly and continued to suppress the lightning bird. In the process of suppressing it, the prison-suppressing steel burst out a terrifying devouring power and enveloped the lightning bird. Arg! What's going on? The lightning bird cried out in alarm. It felt the blood in its body boil. Its strength had been reduced by several percent due to the devouring power. Bang! The prison-suppressing steel hit the lightning bird heavily. The lightning around the bird was destroyed. The bird spat out a mouthful of blood and its huge body fell onto the fighting ring. Everyone present was dumbfounded again. The lightning bird that had reached the peak of the 7th level of the spiritual ocean tier had been defeated. It had been defeated so cleanly in just a few moves. Two huge demonic beasts lay on the huge fighting ring. The lightning bird screeched and transformed into its human form. It retreated quickly and looked at Lu Ming in shock. The prison-suppressing steel shrunk and transformed into Lu Ming's appearance. Next, which one of you will fight? Lu Ming's gaze swept across the other two demons. Chapter 835. 835 Xian Yanqing's true identity. The two demon race heaven's favorites had ugly expressions. Their battle power was on par with the lightning bird. Even the lightning bird had been defeated, so what could they do? In the sky, the golden-robed young man's expression was unsightly. Fatty and the others cheered. Hee, it's really lively here today. At this moment, a faint voice came from the distant sky. This voice clearly came from a distance, but it seemed to ring in everyone's ears. In the crowd, Xian Yanqing's expression changed when he heard the voice. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice. A total of 5 people stepped through the air. 3 of the 5 were young men. There were 2 men and a woman. Among the 3 young men, it was obvious that the young man in the purple and gold robe was the leader. Another man and a woman stood behind the young man. There were 2 old men beside the young man in the purple gold robe. The 2 old men gave people the feeling that they were ordinary people. They were like 2 ordinary old men who didn't know martial arts. There was no aura coming from their bodies. Naturally, they could not be truly ordinary people. Their cultivation was too high, giving others an illusion. The 2 old men chatted and laughed as they looked down. One of the old men seemed to be introducing something to the other. Then, that seems to be Black Wind Knight. Suddenly, someone exclaimed. What? Black Wind Knight, the Black Wind Knight of the Imperial Sky Guards? That's him. I've seen him once. It's really Black Wind Knight. As soon as he said that, it caused more exclamations. Countless eyes turned to one of the black-robed elders. A venerable, it was actually a venerable. Venerable was a respectful title for a spiritual god realm master. In other words, this black-robed old man was a peerless master in the spiritual god realm. In the divine wilderness continent, martial emperors were the strongest. At the martial emperor realm, they dominated the world. The spiritual god realm was the closest realm to the martial royal realm. Usually it was rare to see one, but at this time one had appeared. Then who were the other people? He actually wanted a venerable to accompany him. The arrival of Black Wind Knight eased the tense atmosphere on the fighting ring. Greetings, Black Wind Knight. The paragons of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace stood up and paid their respects. No need to be so polite. We have an important guest here today. I heard that there is an exchange meeting here, so I brought him here to take a look. Black Wind Knight said with a smile. Everyone was shocked. Honored guest? Who could be called a distinguished guest by Black Wind Venerable? The paragons of the 4 overlords of the Eastern Barren Territory, the Sky Corpse sect and the Sky Demon Valley, were all here. Naturally they were not from either side. Talisman sect. Impossible. The Talisman Amulet sect was in decline. It was not qualified to be called an honored guest by Supremacy Heifeng Yun. Other than the three forces, who else in the Eastern Barren Territory was qualified to be called a distinguished guest by the Venerable Black Wind? They are from the Central Continent. Black Wind Knight said with a smile. What? Everyone was shocked, including the paragons of the Heavenly Corpse sect and the Heavenly Demon Valley. The Divine Wilderness Continent was divided into 5 huge regions. Central Continent, Eastern Barren, Southern Nether, Western Desert, Northern Plains. The Central Continent had been the most prosperous and powerful region among the 5 regions since ancient times. The Central Continent was a vast land with many talents and experts. It was the best in the 5 regions. These people were actually from the Central Continent. These people are from the ancient Saint Dynasty of the Central Continent. This is a prince of the ancient Saint Dynasty. Black Wind Knight even threw out a bombshell. The scene was in an uproar. Those who knew the distribution of forces in the Central Continent were even more shocked. The Central Continent was different from the Eastern Barren Territory, where the 4 forces ruled. The Central Continent's ancient Saint Dynasty had been passed down for countless years. It had suppressed the entire Central Continent and unified it. The entire Central Continent was under the control of the ancient Saint Dynasty. It was said that the secret chamber of commerce was established by the ancient Saint Dynasty of the Central Continent. Even though some people had heard that the situation in the Central Continent had changed and that the royal family had weakened, the ancient Saint Dynasty was still the most powerful force. The young man in the purple and gold robe was a prince of the ancient Saint Dynasty. No wonder Black Wind Knight called him an important guest. On the fighting ring, Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Back then, Lian Cong had mentioned that Xian Yanqing was from the Central Continent. However, Xian Yanqing did not go into detail when Lu Ming asked him. The purple-robed young man took a step forward and cupped his fists. I'm Xie Zhen, a prince. I heard that all the top talents of the East Baron are gathered here today, so I came to take a look. I hope I didn't disturb you. Your Highness is too polite. I am Di Feng. Di Feng stepped forward and cupped his fists. So it's Brother Di, nice to meet you. Xie Zhen returned the greeting with a smile. Then Shur Mo and the golden-robed young man from the Heavenly Demon tribe greeted Xie Zhen. The ancient Saint Dynasty of the Central Continent was not to be underestimated, and they naturally wanted to build a good relationship with it. The Eastern Barren Territory was vast, with hundreds of large regions. However, geniuses on the level of Di Feng, Shur Mo, and the golden-robed young man would have limitless potential. If they reached a certain level, they would be able to clash with the geniuses of the other regions. Now that they had the chance to befriend the prince of the ancient Saint Dynasty, they would not miss it. Lu Ming, I'm leaving. Let's leave this place together. At this moment, Lu Ming heard Xian Yanqing's voice. His voice was filled with anxiety. Lu Ming turned his head and saw Xian Yanqing hiding in the crowd. His eyes were filled with anxiety. What's going on? Lu Ming was stunned. He sent a voice transmission to Xian Yanqing. Let's go, there's no time to explain. Xian Yanqing's figure kept retreating in the crowd, as if he wanted to quietly leave this place. Meanwhile in the sky, Xie Zhen suddenly frowned. Then his eyes lit up and he turned around. His eyes were filled with 2 rays of light as he looked in Xian Yanqing's direction. Haha, little sister, why didn't you say hello when you saw your brother? You still want to leave quietly? Xie Zhen laughed and in a flash, he appeared above Xian Yanqing's head. Xian Yanqing's face turned pale. One of the old men and the 2 young men behind Xie Zhen also looked at Xian Yanqing with lightning-like eyes. Everyone in the surroundings was stunned and revealed doubtful expressions. Xie Zhen called her little sister? Could it be that Xie Zhen's younger sister was still here? When did Xie Zhen's sister get mixed up in the crowd? The crowd followed Xie Zhen's gaze and finally landed on Xian Yanqing. It's her? At this moment, many people's eyes lit up. It's actually her. The lady who has been walking with Lu Ming is actually Xie Zhen's younger sister? Doesn't that mean that she is the princess of the ancient Saint Dynasty of the Central Continent? Many people were discussing in shock. Ruan Tingting, Qiao Xian, Fatty, and the rest also looked at Xian Yanqing in shock. Xian Yanqing actually had such an identity? Lu Ming was also a little stunned. Although he had always felt that Xian Yanqing's identity was very mysterious and had some speculations, He did not expect that she was the princess of the ancient sage dynasty of the central continent. The scenes of the past could not help but surface in Lu Ming's mind. Chapter 836. 836. Then you get lost. He suddenly understood many things, but he had more questions. No wonder Xian Yanqing didn't tell you the truth. No wonder Xian Yanqing was so talented, but he wasn't a disciple of any force in the East Continent. No wonder Lien Tsang could see through him. However, if Xian Yanqing had such an identity, why did he travel so far to the East Continent and even to a rural corner of the Burning Sun Empire? What was the purpose of all this? Xian Yanqing looked at Xie Zhen in the sky. His face was pale and his expression was bitter. You came here specifically for me? You're half right. We're here at the request of our father to form an alliance with the big forces in the East Continent and take you back. We thought we would have to ask them to help us with the investigation. We didn't expect to see you here. We didn't have to do that. Xie Zhen chuckled. I'm not going back. Xian Yanqing said calmly. Xie Zhen's gaze turned cold. I knew you would say that, but it's best if you don't refuse. Obediently seal your cultivation and come with us. Don't make things difficult for me. Xie Zhen, don't call me brother all the time. You are not my elder brother, and you are not worthy to be my elder brother. To become your tool and be humiliated by you? Go back and tell Xie Qiqian that he's not worthy of being my father. I'd rather die than go back. Xian Yanqing gritted his teeth and shouted. How audacious. How dare you call his majesty's name? You're courting death. Do you really think you're a princess? The two young men and the old man shouted in unison as they glared at Xian Yanqing. The eyes of many people in the surroundings flickered. The situation didn't seem right. Was Xian Yanqing really Xie Zhen's sister, the princess of the ancient Saint dynasty? Why did even a few servants dare to berate her? Xie Zhen's expression completely darkened as he said coldly, You're getting more and more daring. You're the son of a lowly servant, and you're a xenogeniac. If it wasn't for my father's kindness, I would have killed you and fed you to the dogs. Xie Zhen, you dare to insult my mother. I will kill you sooner or later. Xian Yanqing's eyes flashed with cold killing intent. Insult your mother? She's just a lowly servant, how could she be worthy of being humiliated by me? Xie Zhen coldly said. You're looking for death. Xian Yanqing roared as his destructive cutting power exploded. A beautiful arm shot towards Xie Zhen. A cold smile appeared on Xie Zhen's face. His body glowed with a dazzling white light. He waved his palm and a huge palm print formed from white light crushed Xian Yanqing's attack. Xian Yanqing's delicate body trembled as she retreated and spat out a mouthful of blood. You lowly xenogeniac, how dare you resist? This time, no matter what, you have to go back. My father was too kind before, but this time I will report this to my father. I will send you to hell and you will be burned by the demonic flames. Let's see if you still dare to come out and embarrass the Xie family. Xie Zhen's eyes were cold and even a little disgusted. It was not the look of a relative at all. It was like a high and mighty prince looking at a beggar. He slowly walked out, his body emitting a pure white light. It was even more holy and aloof. A powerful pressure enveloped Xian Yanqing. Xian Yanqing retreated, his face turning paler. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Xian Yanqing. The powerful aura dissipated Xie Zhen's terrifying pressure. Everyone's eyes shifted. Lu Ming had appeared in front of Xian Yanqing. Xie Zhen's face darkened. He looked at Lu Ming and said, Brat, who are you to stop me? Get lost. Lu Ming's posture was as straight as a mountain. He stood there and a powerful aura emanated from his body. His eyes flickered as he looked at Xie Zhen and said, I don't care who you are, whether you are Shao Qing's relative or not, but as long as you dare to hurt her, you are my enemy. Now, since little Qing doesn't want to go with you, then you can get lost. Lu Ming's voice was not loud, but it was very clear. It was clearly transmitted. Especially the last sentence, then you should get lost. It made people's hearts beat violently. Lu Ming actually told Xie Zhen and a prince of the ancient Saint dynasty of the central continent to scram? Such courage. Xie Zhen was also slightly stunned. After a while he finally reacted. A shocking killing intent filled his eyes, as if he was a high and mighty emperor looking down on his people. His cold voice rang out, You lowly ant, how dare you speak to me like this? When you say this, no one in the world can save you. Today I will cut you into 8 pieces and feed you to the dogs. Boom. A dazzling white light emanated from Xie Zhen's body, like a white sun. A sword condensed from the white light cut through the void and slashed at Lu Ming. Boom. Lu Ming took a step forward, activated the prison-suppressing heavenly art, and struck out with his palm. Heaven and earth shook violently, and a dazzling white light scattered in all directions, so piercing that the others couldn't help but close their eyes. The white light dissipated. Lu Ming's body trembled slightly and he took 3 steps back. A cold glint flashed in Xie Zhen's eyes. He seemed to be a little surprised that Lu Ming could actually block his attack. Lu Ming, leave quickly. This has nothing to do with you. Xian Yanqing called out anxiously from behind Lu Ming. Lu Ming turned around and smiled at Xian Yanqing. What are you talking about? Your business is my business. Xian Yanqing's body trembled. There seemed to be tears in his eyes. He bit his red lips and looked at Lu Ming in a daze. For a moment he seemed to be in a daze and was speechless. Lu Ming smiled and looked at Xie Zhen again. So it turns out that you have a man outside. Brat, your talent isn't bad. It seems like you're a heavens chosen from the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. However, no matter which power you're from, you must die today. After Xie Zhen finished speaking, he turned his gaze to Di Feng and said, Brother Di, I'm going to kill this man today. You won't interfere, right? Di Feng's eyes flickered as he glanced at Lu Ming and said, I'm not familiar with this person and he's not a core member of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. I'll hand him over to the Princess Palace to deal with. Ah, that's good. Thank you, Brother Di. Xie Zhen laughed. Nest, who do you think you are? Why should my brother be punished by you? The fatty was unhappy. His figure flashed and he came to Lu Ming's side. Ruan Tingting and Xiao Xian also came to Lu Ming's side. Wang Haoxian's eyes flickered. Finally, he gritted his teeth and came to Lu Ming's side. This has nothing to do with you, you should leave this place first. Lu Ming said to Fatty and the rest. This matter concerned the ancient sage dynasty of the central continent. It was no small matter. Lu Ming did not want to implicate Fatty and the rest. Nest, Lu Ming, what do you mean by this? You don't treat me as a friend? Or do you think that my cultivation is too weak to help? Fatty pouted unhappily. Chapter 837. 837 Chapter 837 Battling Xie Zhen. Ruan Tingting and Xiao Xian's gazes were firm. Although their cultivation levels were low, they chose to stand by Lu Ming's side. Looking at Fatty, Ruan Tingting and the rest, Lu Ming felt warm in his heart. Xian Yanqing was the same. She had always been eccentric, but now her eyes were red. Good, a group of lowly ants dare to block a chariot with their mantis arms. They are overestimating them Slaviers. Today I will kill them all. Xie Zhen's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. 8th Prince, there's no need for you to kill them. Just leave it to us. With a flash, the man and woman who had come with Xie Zhen appeared beside him. One of the women asked, That's good. You can do it, but I've changed my mind. I won't kill them yet. I'll cripple their cultivation first. I'll bring them back to the central continent and sell them to the land of barbarians as slaves. Xie Zhen coldly said. Yes, sir. The man and woman responded. Xie Zhen retreated. Following that, 2 sword hums were heard. One was black and the other was white. 2 rays of sword light were aimed at Lu Ming. Fatty, you guys retreat. Lu Ming let out a long hiss and stepped forward, striking out with his palms twice. With 2 loud bangs, the sword light collapsed. The man and woman's expressions changed drastically. They shouted and their sword chi increased dramatically. The 2 of them were both experts at the peak of the 6th level spiritual ocean tier. Furthermore, they had awakened 3rd level divine rank bloodlines. It was a pity that they were a step too late. They did not witness the power of Lu Ming's attack and had no idea how terrifying he was. Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the 6th level of the spiritual ocean tier. They thought that with the 2 of them joining forces, it would be more than enough to take down Lu Ming. However, they realized that they were wrong. Lu Ming's combat strength was terrifying. Bang, bang. Lu Ming took a step forward, his palm continuously striking out. The black and white sword gleam was shattered, and the 2 of them quickly retreated. Damn it, kill! The 2 of them roared in anger. 2 huge swords, one black and one white, appeared above their heads. 3 golden chakras curled around the 2 huge swords. The 2 of them merged with the giant sword and the sword howled. Buzz, buzz. The black and white giant sword slashed at Lu Ming with shocking power. Roar. At this moment, a faint dragon's roar came from Lu Ming's body. His aura surged and dense scales appeared on the surface of his skin. A violent aura burst out like a beast. Scales appeared on Lu Ming's hands as well. Even his nails had become long like dragon claws. Buzz. Buzz. His hands turned into claws and he grabbed the black and white swords. As the sword aura whistled, Lu Ming firmly grabbed the blades of the two giant swords. The two giant swords trembled violently, but they could not fly out of his hands for the time being. Break. Lu Ming growled and exerted force with his claws. With two clangs, the black and white giant sword was crushed by Lu Ming and turned back into human form. The two figures, a man and a woman, flew far away and fell heavily on the ground, spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. At this moment, countless people widened their eyes as they looked at Lu Ming and the scales on his body. What's going on? What was with Lu Ming's scale armor? He's like a demon. Could it be that he's not a human but a demon? That's impossible. He's cultivating martial arts and has comprehended the will of heaven and earth. He's definitely a human. That should be some kind of secret technique. There are many mysterious secret techniques in the world that can make people transform into beasts, even completely into the shape of a beast. There are even some. That's right. It should be a secret skill. What a terrifying secret skill. Lu Ming didn't even cast it just now. It turns out that Lu Ming still has a trump card. The paragons of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace, the Heavenly Corpse Sect, and the Sky Demon Valley all widened their eyes in shock. It turned out that Lu Ming had not used his full strength in the battle against the Sky Demon Valley's paragon. How powerful was Lu Ming, a prodigy who had awakened a second-level divine-level bloodline? The coldness in Xie Zhen's eyes became even more intense. He glanced at the man and woman and berated, "You're really trash. I even have to take action personally." With that, Xie Zhen strode towards Lu Ming. With every step he took, the aura on his body grew stronger. In the distance, Black Wind Knight and the elder from the ancient Saint dynasty watched silently. They did not make a sound, nor did they stop him. "Lu Ming, be careful. He has awakened a 5th-level divine-level blood meridian." Xian Yinqing reminded her softly. "Bitch, so what if you remind me?" Xie Zhen shouted coldly. A burly man in golden armor appeared above his head. This burly man was 100 meters tall and looked like a god. He was holding a golden spear in his hand. The burly man in golden armor was surrounded by 5 dazzling golden chakras. Divine level rank 5 bloodline. Kill? The burly man in golden armor held a long spear in his hand. He looked down from above and smashed it toward Lu Ming. Before the long spear even reached him, the terrifying pressure had already completely exploded. Xie Zhen's cultivation had already reached the peak of the 7th-level spiritual ocean tier. With such a cultivation, fusing with a 5th-level divine-level bloodline was too powerful and too terrifying. One could imagine how terrifying Aoquin's battle power was when he was at the 5th level of the spiritual ocean realm. Xie Zhen definitely wouldn't be weaker than Aoquin in a battle of the same level. Could be seen how terrifying his battle power was. Roar. At this moment, a dragon's roar rang out from within Lu Ming's body once again. Lu Ming had also unleashed the second wave of dragon energy. The two dragon powers exploded at the same time, and the power multiplied. Bang. Lu Ming stomped his feet and his body soared into the sky. He used the prison-suppressing heaven technique and punched the huge golden spear. Clang. The terrifying vibrations formed sound waves that spread out like a storm. The faces of those with weaker cultivations changed drastically, and their eardrums were almost burst from the vibrations. They quickly circulated their cultivation to resist. Qiao Xian's body trembled and she spat out a mouthful of blood. The fatty beside her quickly supported her and released his Zhen Yuan to help her block the terrifying sound wave. In the sky, the huge spear vibrated and hummed. The huge body of the golden-armored man actually trembled and took a step back. Boom. This step caused the space to ripple like water. The air was compressed into liquid and blasted onto the fighting ring below, causing it to shake violently. Lu Ming's body only took a step back. Damn it, you lowly ant, die. Xie Zhen, who had executed the blood fusion, was actually forced back by Lu Ming's punch. He let out an angry roar. Demon-suppressing divine fist. The burly man in golden armor roared. The long spear in his hand disappeared, and a huge fist blasted toward Lu Ming. Buzz. The prison-suppressing steel appeared above Lu Ming's head. He used blood fusion to merge his body with the prison-suppressing steel. At the moment of fusion, the two dragon powers were also integrated into the prison-guarding steel, making it stronger than before. The prison-suppressing heaven art. The prison-suppressing steel enlarged and pressed toward the golden-armored man. The golden-armored burly man's terrifying fist radiance was also aimed at the prison-suppressing steel. Boom, boom, boom. A terrifying tremor exploded in the sky. Even from thousands of miles away, one could hear the shocking fluctuations. Dozens of explosions sounded in succession. In the beginning, the two were evenly matched, but everyone was shocked to find that as the number of attacks increased, the size of the prison-suppressing steel became larger and larger. Chapter 838. 838 The Spirit God takes action. Suppress them. Be it demons, gods, ghosts, or demons, suppress them all. A deafening sound came from the prison-suppressing steel. The steel expanded to 10,000 meters in size and pressed down on Xiezhen. The golden-armored burly man that Xiezhen had transformed into roared angrily and punched out with both fists. But in the next moment, his eyes revealed a look of fear. The prison-suppressing steel crushed the fist radiance and smashed toward the head of the burly man in golden armor. Hold on. The burly man in golden armor roared. He tilted his head and dodged the attack. He used his shoulders to block the prison-suppressing steel and supported it with his hands. However, the prison-suppressing steel could suppress everything. It was like an ancient divine mountain, containing infinite weight. How could the burly man in golden armor withstand it? Kneel down. Lu Ming's voice came from the prison-suppressing steel. Boom. The burly man in golden armor couldn't withstand it at all. His body fell and stepped out of the fighting stage. Then his body trembled and he knelt down. Ah! The burly man in golden armor let out an extremely furious roar. He, the prince of the ancient Saint dynasty of the central continent, was actually suppressed by Lu Ming in public and knelt on the battle stage. It was a disgrace, a great humiliation. I want you to die, I want you to die. Xiezhen's voice sounded. Then I'll kill you now. As Lu Ming's voice rang out, the prison-suppressing steel glowed and trembled slightly. The burly man in golden armor let out a furious roar and immediately lay down. His body shrank rapidly and turned into Xiezhen's appearance. He looked at the prison-suppressing steel above his head in fear and anger. Boom. The prison-suppressing steel pressed down on Xiezhen. How audacious. At this moment, a voice rang out, rumbling in the heavens and earth. It was the old man who was standing with Black Wind Venerable. He snorted coldly and extended a thin palm, pointing out a finger. A huge finger, as long as 10,000 meters, appeared out of thin air and pointed at the prison-suppressing steel. At this moment, Lu Ming felt an unbelievably powerful force engulfing him. In the face of this force he had no way to resist. Bang! The finger touched the prison-suppressing steel. In an instant the prison-suppressing steel exploded and turned back into Lu Ming's figure. He flew out like a cannonball and flew 10 miles away before hitting the ground. Boom! The ground exploded and a huge pit appeared. Lu Ming lay in it, spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. He felt that all his bones were almost broken, and he was in excruciating pain. That old man was too strong, unrivaled, and unfathomable. It was very likely that he was also a spiritual god realm master like Black Wind Knight. Lu Ming! Xian Yinqing cried out and rushed towards Lu Ming. In an instant he was 10 miles away and appeared beside Lu Ming. He helped Lu Ming up as tears fell from his eyes. Lu Ming, are you all right? Xian Yinqing supported Lu Ming as his essential core continued to flow into Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming coughed out a few mouthfuls of blood. He smiled and said, "Silly girl, why are you crying?" "I'm fine." Lu Ming. At this moment, Fatty and the others also rushed over. "Damn it, a venerable actually attacked you. At most, I'll call my old man over and slap him to death." Fatty roared. "Fatty, don't get involved in this. Leave this place quickly." Lu Ming said. The other party was too strong. With a Supreme Realm expert, their current cultivation level was no different from ants in the eyes of a Supreme Realm expert. If they resisted, they would all die. Lu Ming did not want to implicate Fatty and the rest. "Lu Ming, I'll go back with them. You should recuperate and stop fighting." Xian Yinqing's tears continued to fall. No, little Qing. I can feel that if you go back you'll definitely suffer. Even if I have to risk my life, I don't want you to go back and suffer. Lu Ming struggled, wanting to get up. Xie Zhen and the others didn't treat Xian Yanqing like a family member. They treated him like an enemy or even a servant. Even a few servants dared to berate Xian Yanqing. It was obvious that Xian Yanqing's days when he returned would not be good. If it was a normal family member, Lu Ming would not stop them. However, in such a situation it was obviously not the case. Although Lu Ming did not know the inside story, Xian Yanqing's "I'd rather die than return" was enough to explain everything. He would rather die than return. In Xian Yanqing's heart, returning was worse than death. Buzz. The old man took a step forward and appeared above Lu Ming and the rest. Kill them all. I want them all dead. Xie Zhen shouted hysterically. He was the prince of the ancient sacred dynasty in the East Continent. He was high and mighty, but he was suppressed by Lu Ming and knelt down on the spot. How humiliating was that? He was furious. The old man frowned and looked at Xian Yanqing. Princess 16, please come back with me. Otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless. As a spiritual god realm supremacy, it was embarrassing for the elder to attack a few juniors. Therefore he did not use much strength when he attacked Lu Ming just now. He only stopped Lu Ming from killing Xie Zhen. If he had used some of his strength, Lu Ming would have died even if he had 10 lives. The difference between the spiritual ocean realm and the spiritual god realm was too great. All right, Guardian. I'll go back with you, but you have to let Lu Ming and the rest go. Xian Yanqing said. No, that bastard must die. Xie Zhen glared at Lu Ming with killing intent. If you want to kill him, I'd rather die than return. At most, you can bring my corpse back. With a flick of his hand, a short sword appeared in Xian Yanqing's hand. He pressed it against his chest with a determined look on his face. Little Qing, don't. Lu Ming was shocked and shouted. Miss Yanqing. Fatty and the others were also shocked. Bitch, you dare to threaten me? Xie Zhen roared. That protector frowned even more. No matter what, I'm also Xie Qitian's daughter. If you bring my corpse back, I believe Xie Qitian will not be happy. Xian Yanqing's eyes were firm as he looked at the old man and Xie Zhen in the air. Xie Zhen's expression froze. Among the princes he was not the most outstanding one. If he really brought Xian Yanqing's body back, his position in his father's heart would be affected. Even if it was just a little, it was a big deal for him. The venerable guardian pondered for a moment, then said, all right, I promise you. It doesn't matter if I kill these people or not. Many thanks. Then Xian Yanqing turned to look at Xie Zhen. Xie Zhen gritted his teeth and finally said, all right, I agree as well. I'll let that piece of trash off. However, you have to agree to seal your cultivation and obediently return with us. All right, I'll do as I say. Xian Yanqing looked at Lu Ming, his eyes filled with reluctance. Silly, I'm leaving. Xian Yanqing smiled slightly with a trace of sadness, as beautiful as a summer flower. Little Qing. Lu Ming exclaimed softly, his fists clenched tightly. In the end he still couldn't make Xian Yanqing stay. He still needed Xian Yanqing to save his life. At this moment he hated himself. He hated himself for being powerless. He hated himself for not being strong enough. If he had the power to rule the world, how could Xie Zhen and the others take Xian Yanqing away? Why would he let her do something that Xian Yanqing didn't want to do? However, he was still too weak. Chapter 839. 839. When you rule the world. Recently, he seemed to have made rapid progress and competed with the talents of the Eastern Barren Territory. However, he was only among the younger generation. Moreover, even among the younger generation he might not be a match for Di Feng, Shiremo, and the others, not to mention that there were still geniuses in the top 100 on the list of top 1000. He was only from the younger generation. If he were to be compared to the ancient families, the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, the Heavenly Corpse sect, or the ancient sacred dynasty of the Central Continent, he was still far from them. He seemed so powerless in the face of such a force. Power. Lu Ming kept growling in his heart. 16th Princess, I've already agreed. Please leave with me now. The venerable protector said. Xian Yanqing's delicate body trembled. Suddenly, she leaned over and pressed her red lips against Lu Ming's. At this moment, their lips were touching each other and the two of them seemed to be one. Bitch. A cold glint flashed in Xie Zhen's eyes as he shouted in a low voice. However, at this moment, no one was paying attention to Xie Zhen. Everyone's eyes were focused on Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing. After a long time, the two lips separated. 2 drops of tears fell on Lu Ming's face. Lu Ming, I'll wait for you. I won't die no matter how much I've suffered. I'll wait for you. I'll wait for the day you rule the world. When you rule the world, we'll hold hands and be together, never to be apart. His voice echoed in Lu Ming's ears, but Xian Yanqing had already left and landed beside the venerable guardian. Little Qing. Lu Ming felt as if there was a huge rock blocking his chest, making it difficult for him to breathe. Miss Yanqing. Ruan Tingting and Xiao Xian's eyes were filled with tears. Wang Haoxian also looked at Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing with a complicated expression. Ah, damn it, I'm going to call that old fart over. The fat man growled, his fat trembling. A sovereign descending to the world? What a joke. An ant wants to defy the heavens? What a good dream. Venerable one, let's go. Xie Zhen laughed coldly and came to the side of the venerable guardian. Bitch, beast race, when I return this time, I'll definitely make you go to the demon realm of hell. Just you wait. With a wave of his hand, the venerable guardian took Xian Yanqing, Xie Zhen, and the man and woman, turning into a ray of light and disappearing. Little Qing. Lu Ming looked in the direction that Xian Yanqing had left in and felt lost. Let's leave this place. Fatty said. That was because someone from the Sky Demon Valley was looking at them with an unfriendly gaze. The combat strength displayed by Lu Ming was too terrifying. Even the prince of the ancient sacred dynasty of the central continent, Xie Zhen, who had awakened a 5th-level divine-level bloodline and reached the peak of the 7th-level spiritual ocean realm, was suppressed by Lu Ming. He was too powerful. Now that Lu Ming was seriously injured, they had other thoughts. Let's go. Fatty wrapped Lu Ming up with his vital essence and in a flash they left the place, followed by Ruan Tingting and the rest. The eyes of the Sky Demon Valley cultivators flickered, but they did not pursue. After all, this was the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, not the Sky Demon Valley. If they chased after the geniuses of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace openly, would the people of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace allow it? Otherwise he would lose all his face. What an interesting little fellow. Black Wind Knight smiled and continued, you guys can continue with the competition. I'm leaving. A gust of black wind blew past, and Black Wind Knight's figure disappeared. The two of you, now that Aoquin is dead and Lu Ming has retreated with serious injuries, why don't we start the competition again from the 6th level of the spiritual ocean tier? Di Feng looked in the direction that Lu Ming and the others had left in, then turned to the corpse demon and the golden-robed young man. I have no objections. The demonic corpse said. All right. The gold-robed youth could only nod. The exchange continued, but Lu Ming and the rest had nothing to do with it. A million miles away in a hidden valley, Lu Ming sat cross-legged, fully focused on healing his injuries. Previously, when he was pointed at by the protector of the ancient Saint dynasty of the central continent, even though the other party did not use much strength, he was still severely injured, and his bones were broken into hundreds of pieces. Fortunately, it was only a physical injury. His internal organs were only minor injuries. With Lu Ming's current physical strength and cultivation, he could recover very quickly. Time passed day by day and in the blink of an eye, 5 days had passed. Lu Ming's injuries had already healed and he was at his peak. In a flash, Wang Haoxian appeared beside Lu Ming. How's the investigation going? Lu Ming opened his eyes and looked at Wang Haoxian. 2 days ago, Lu Ming had asked Wang Haoxian to investigate the whereabouts of Xie Zhen and the others, and whether they were still in Nine Dragons. Previously, Xie Zhen had said that they had come to the East Baron mainly to form an alliance with a few major forces. Forming an alliance was a major event. Lu Ming guessed that Xie Zhen and the others would not leave so soon. Thus he sent Wang Haoxian to investigate. The people from the central continent are still here. They haven't left and are living in the Sea Wave's ancient garden on the other dragon vein. Wang Haoxian answered honestly. Highland Ancient Garden? And I know. Lu Ming nodded and closed his eyes again. Not far away, Fatty, Ruan Tingting, and Xiao Xian were discussing something. Why do you think Lu Ming sent Wang Haoxian to find out where those people from the central continent are staying? Don't tell me you want to save Miss Nianqing? With Lu Ming's cultivation level, he will definitely die if he goes. Ruan Tingting said in a low voice. That's right. The other party has a venerable. We'll definitely die if we go. We still have to keep an eye on Lu Ming and don't let him mess around. Fatty nodded. Another day passed. Lu Ming sat still. At this moment, Xian Yinqing's image kept flashing in his mind. The two of them had first met in the ruins of the Dongyi ancestors in the Blazing Sun Empire. At first they had fought and Xian Yinqing had suffered a great loss. Later on, in the Blazing Sun Kingdom, the two of them met again. After that, the two of them experienced many things together. The sentence, "I want to step on you," kept echoing in Lu Ming's ears. After going through so much together, Xian Yinqing's image had been deeply engraved in his heart. Similarly, his image had also been deeply engraved in Xian Yinqing's heart. It was difficult to erase it. "When you rule the world, you and I will hold hands and never separate." Xian Yinqing's words still rang in her ears. However, it would be many years before he could rule the world. Moreover, there was still the Mountain De and Martial Emperor standing in front of Lu Ming. It was still unknown whether he could overcome the great mountain of De and Martial Emperor. If he failed, wouldn't Xian Yinqing have to stay in the ancient dynasty of Central Continent for the rest of her life, in the place where she had suffered? "Little Qing, when you suddenly disappeared for 2 years, were you also brought back to the Central Continent? But then you ran out again. Since you don't want to go back to that home and that home will make you suffer, I won't let you go. When I rule the world, that's too long. I only strive for the present." All of a sudden Lu Ming opened his eyes. There seemed to be 2 rays of spear light in his eyes, piercing through the air and into the clouds. With a flash, Fatty and the rest appeared beside Lu Ming. "Lu Ming, have you recovered from your injuries?" Fatty asked. "All right, I'm done." Lu Ming nodded. "You guys leave 9 dragons first. I have something to do," he continued. The Fatty's expression changed as he said, "Lu Ming, you're not going to save Miss Nianqing, are you? No, if you go like this, you're just going to die." "That's right. Lu Ming, you can't go." Ruan Tingting also said anxiously. Chapter 840. 840. The Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron moves again. Lu Ming smiled faintly. "Don't worry. I have my own ways. I won't send myself to my death." "What is it?" "Lu Ming, you don't have to lie to us. Is there any way to fight against a venerable? If you want to go, we'll go together." The fat man shouted. "Fatty, why do you have to do this?" Lu Ming sighed. All of a sudden he took a few steps back and stomped on the ground. Buzz. Inscriptions appeared on the ground, forming a large array that trapped Fatty and the others. Lu Ming had long known that Fatty and the rest would not leave. He had secretly carved an inscription earlier. The formation appeared like a cage and trapped Fatty, Wang Haoxian, Ruan Tingting, and Xiao Xian. "Lu Ming, what are you doing? You're despicable, using a formation to trap us. Let us out, I want to fight you one-on-one." The fat man roared. Ruan Tingting and the others also shouted anxiously. Lu Ming smiled faintly and his heart was filled with warmth. He could take the risk, but he could not let Fatty and the rest take the risk. "Don't worry, I'll be fine." Lu Ming smiled and looked at Wang Haoxian. "I lied to you about something back then. If anything happens to me, I'll break the soul-splitting formation on my own." With that, Lu Ming turned around and stepped into the air. "Lu Ming." Wang Haoxian looked in the direction that Lu Ming had left with a complicated gaze. Let's do it and break this formation." The fat man roared and used all his strength to break the formation. Lu Ming walked in the air at an extremely fast speed, covering 1,000 miles in an instant. He didn't go to the ocean wave's ancient garden, but to the dragon's head. The distance of 1,000,000 miles was crossed in no time. Lu Ming returned to the place where the exchange was held previously. At this time the exchange had ended and the crowd had dispersed. Only a few people were still looking at the huge Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. Lu Ming did not stop. He strode toward the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. Within 10,000 meters, the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron exuded a huge pressure, but it could not stop Lu Ming. Step by step, he walked toward the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron with determination. Soon, he was within 1,000 meters of the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. That seems to be Lu Ming. It's really him. It seems that his injuries have already healed. What is he doing here? I don't know. Some people recognized Lu Ming and looked at him curiously. After the last battle, Lu Ming's name had spread throughout 9 dragons. Many people believed that he would be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with the top 100 on the list of top 1,000 talents. However, some people felt that Lu Ming's bloodline was only at the second level of the divine level and his potential was limited. His future achievements could not be compared to the top 100 geniuses. Lu Ming had no idea about this, nor was he in the mood to know. He approached the divine nine-dragon cauldron step by step. Roar. The bloodline of the 9 dragons in his body roared and roared continuously. However, outsiders could not hear it. The closer he got to the divine 9-dragon cauldron, the more violent his 9-dragon bloodline became. It was as if it wanted to rush out of his body and rush toward the divine 9-dragon cauldron, but it was firmly suppressed by Lu Ming. He was getting closer and closer to the divine 9-dragon cauldron. 500 meters, 300 meters, 100 meters. A layer of blood-red light emanated behind Lu Ming. Thump. At this moment, the divine 9-dragon cauldron let out a vibration that spread thousands of miles away. The entire dragon vein seemed to have trembled. Not far away, the others widened their eyes. The divine 9-dragon cauldron is shaking. The divine 9-dragon cauldron, which has never moved since the ancient times, is actually shaking. I heard that there was a huge commotion a while ago. I thought that it was fake, but I didn't expect it to be true. Unbelievable. What? Why is the divine 9-dragon cauldron shaking? These people cried out in alarm. They did not expect that this was because of Lu Ming. How could a young man make the divine 9-dragon cauldron, which had remained motionless for ages, shake? The divine 9-dragon cauldron, which even a martial emperor couldn't move, was shaking. Lu Ming's eyes were bright and determined as he strode forward. The distance was getting closer and closer. Thump. The divine 9-dragon cauldron shook again. The people in the surroundings were even more shocked. In the distance, rainbow lights were flying over. These people had all rushed over because they had heard the commotion. My God, the divine 9-dragon cauldron is really moving. The people who rushed over from behind were also extremely shocked. At this moment, Lu Ming had already walked to one of the feet of the divine 9-dragon cauldron. The divine 9-dragon cauldron had 4 legs, all of which were extremely huge. That seems to be Lu Ming. What is he doing? The people who came later also recognized Lu Ming. Look, he's hugging the cauldron's leg. He's going to move the divine 9-dragon cauldron. What a joke. Throughout history, countless paragons have tried to move it, but to no avail. How can he move it? Someone sneered. However, the next moment, everyone's expression changed drastically, and their eyes almost popped out. Lu Ming hugged the cauldron's leg with both hands. Of course, he could not hug it completely. He could only hug a corner. Rise. Lu Ming roared loudly, his long hair flying in the wind as he exerted his strength. Thump. As Lu Ming exerted more force, the divine 9-dragon cauldron shook again. This time, the vibration was louder and more shocking than the previous 2 times. The vibration was like a storm, spreading far and wide. The entire dragon vein started to shake violently. The divine 9-dragon cauldron is moving again, and it's even more intense. It can't be. Could it be that the divine 9-dragon cauldron is moving because of Lu Ming? Some people guessed. No way. It's impossible. It must be a coincidence. Some people found it hard to accept and shook their heads, thinking it was a coincidence. Rise. Lu Ming roared again. Thump. The divine 9-dragon cauldron moved again. One could clearly see that the huge body of the cauldron was shaking. On the ground, there were huge rocks that shattered and stones that flew everywhere. Oh my God, it's moving again. It's really because of Lu Ming. This is unbelievable. Someone shouted while more people were watching the scene with dumbfounded looks. In the sky, rainbow light flashed and more people flew over. The divine 9-dragon cauldron is covered in dust. What are you waiting for? Now, come and fight with me. Lu Ming howled, his voice shaking the heavens. The others were horrified. Lu Ming actually wanted to pull out the cauldron and fight? Who was he going to fight? Some of them recalled the grudges between Lu Ming and the ancient dynasty of the Central Continent a few days ago and gasped. Was Lu Ming planning to challenge the powerful cultivators of the ancient dynasty of the Central Continent? Such courage, such boldness. Divine 9-dragon cauldron, I know you have a spirit. Fight with me. Lu Ming continued to roar, and the 9-dragon bloodline in his body roared wildly. The voice of the 9-dragon bloodline seemed to be constantly transmitted into the divine 9-dragon cauldron. However, Lu Ming could feel that there seemed to be a spirit in the divine nine-dragon cauldron that was resisting. It was unwilling to leave the ground and fight with Lu Ming. "You are too weak." Suddenly, a voice entered Lu Ming's ears. It seemed to come from the ancient times and was filled with vicissitudes of life. This voice could not be heard by outsiders except Lu Ming. "I'm too weak, but in the future, I will rule the world." Lu Ming let out a long howl, his fighting spirit unparalleled. Clang. At that moment, the lightning cauldron in Lu Ming's sea of consciousness suddenly shook. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.